Welcome everybody back into Nerd Sesh. As always, I'm Carson Brabber, and alongside me is Logan Camden, and you already know the drill. It's Sunday night, so we are going to be reacting to all of today's action in NFL Week 5. And Logan, we're only 5 weeks deep into the season, and yet there are no undefeated teams remaining. There were only 2 coming into today. Both of them fell in very dramatic fashion. So let's start with the Buffalo Bills, Logan, who did just lose in Sunday Night Football to the New England Patriots in what is the biggest win for this New England team in a number of years now, an absolute statement for them early in the season. So let's start by giving them their credit. What does this win say to you about the readiness of this team and the readiness of their quarterback right now to potentially make a playoff push and be a legitimate quality team this season?
I mean, I definitely think this team should have playoff aspirations. You know, this isn't a team that is punting, that is rebuilding. I think this team is ready to contend. You know, they spent a lot in free agency building up this team. And Drake Maye, Carson, I think has taken, I wouldn't even say like a major leap. Drake Maye was great last year, but he looks like maybe a top 10 quarterback right now. Like,
some people were saying it last week. I'm some people. Some people also before the season picked the Patriots to make the playoffs. Again, I'm going to say I'm some people. I'm going to find the silver linings in the fact that the Bills just lost in very bad fashion because I've been a big believer in Drake Maye and I was high on these Patriots. So I'll take that where I can get it. Thank you very much. I'm coping.
No, I mean, that is the positive takeaway. I mean, Drake looked awesome, man. And I'm stoked. Like, he looks like he's going to be a superstar. A couple of plays on the final drive. You know, it's only 37 yards, but it's clutch. Like, you have to go down. You have to get points. It is you're in enemy territory. You know, you're in Buffalo. This is a huge win for Drake and them, you know, against one of the top teams in the AFC. Like, it's a statement win, I think, for New England and Drake Maye in his young career. But the play he makes to Diggs, evading pressure, which he did a phenomenal job of all night, getting outside of the pocket. And that's one of those traits that we talk about with Maye and why we considered him to have the potential as a superstar quarterback, the ability to get out of the pocket and make plays that few quarterbacks can. And he's so special with his legs, man. Like, I don't even know if I can say it's an underrated trait. Like, what was it, 9 yards per carry last season? Like, yeah, he's special in that regard. And he has the arm talent to go with it. I thought his accuracy, his composure, like, Drake Maye just looks like a top 10 quarterback right now. And the stat line isn't crazy because he doesn't have any TDs, right? They're all on the ground, but 273 yards, completed a high percentage of his balls. Like, he is the offense for New England. I think that Drake is an offensive engine, and I want to give credit too to the New England offensive line. Like, pressure got home, but I thought by and large, like, they were good on the night and whole. Buffalo did get home, and like, Drake had to pull some plays out of his ass like a rabbit out of a hat at the end there, but it's a statement win for New England. I think that they should have playoff aspirations. And I don't know, man. Like, I'm thinking about the guys that I had in the top 10. I got to tip my cap too. Carson, I was wrong on Dak Prescott. I'm going to give him some flowers later too.
Thank you.
Dak is damn good. I know Baker had a great game today. I still think he's top 10. Like, I don't know. I think Drake Maye is in these conversations. He's in the fringes right now. And I don't think it's long. I think you could make an argument if you wanted, man. He's got all the tools, and he's looked great this year, man.
He's there. He's absolutely just flat out playing at a top 10 level, and this game is a testament to that. He's been balling out. The last 4 games, he's been pretty consistently excellent and just so efficient and so composed and so accurate. This is the kind of game, though, that really shows who can go toe-to-toe with the big boys. And that's exactly what Drake Maye did in this one. Particularly what stands out here is exactly what you said, and this was my favorite thing about him as a prospect. It's the major plus athletic traits and the ability to create out of structure. Like some of these plays that he's making, and I do not say this lightly, and I also don't want this to be taken out of context, but like they are Allen-esque, just specifically when you look at the ability to hold off a 320-pound man with a stiff arm and still get out the ball to a receiver. That play to open up that final drive. That's like a 20-yard swing, man. I mean, if he gets brought to the ground, that's a potential drive killer. Now you're looking at 2nd 18. You're going into the 2-minute warning. The Bills have all 3 timeouts. Now it feels like Buffalo's actually probably going to win the game. And instead, you also have to give credit to Diggs for making the play he did after the catch, but that turns into a first down. And now you have some early momentum on the drive. And repeatedly throughout this game, he was able to evade pressure, get out to his right, escape, and make those throws specifically up the sideline. And you really have to credit him and Diggs in tandem for this performance, because so much of what they did was out of structure. It was improvisational, and they were just consistently on the same page. Maye extended the play, Maye made the throw, but Diggs was able to create the separation as those plays extended. He was able to make the plays. He was able to make some impressive catches along the sideline, make some plays after the catch. What a homecoming performance this was for him. I mean, he really, really balled out in this one. But Drake Maye was outstanding. Early in this game, they were able to give him a little bit of trouble, but as things progressed, the Bills were struggling to get pressure with 4, which I do think is a major problem with the Bills defense, and we'll talk about that later. And then as they tried heating him up more, they just weren't able to get home and finish plays. I understand they finished with 4 sacks on the stat sheet, but look at the sack yardage lost. It's 6 total yards. That's like the equivalent of 1 actual sack. So repeatedly, Maye is either getting back to the line of scrimmage or he's actually creating a positive play, and they just didn't have the numbers on the back end to cover as was needed. I also thought the personnel in coverage left something to be desired. Specifically, Trey White, I thought absolutely got destroyed in the battle of the old men, Bills legends, him versus Diggs, and just all game, if it was Kayshon Boutte, it felt like the Patriots were able to pick on Trey White with a ton of success. But really, regardless of the look that he was getting, Drake was very good, especially in the second half. He was nails in this game. He was able to really limit those negative plays, and he was able to create a bunch of positives in situations where guys with inferior athleticism, guys with inferior composure, guys with inferior arm talent just couldn't. So for being a second-year guy, for him to be as good as consistently as he is, he just has superstar written all over him. And I said this last week, he would be the guy I would want out of the 2024 draft class, even over Jaden Daniels. I think the overall arm talent with him and his proficiency as a passer inside the pocket and outside the pocket already, and the fact that I'm just not worried about him taking as many hits and being exposed to injury in the same way that Jaden is. Like, I think they're both superstars. He's the guy that I would want. And because of that, first and foremost, I think the Pats are a very legitimate football team. I did pick them to make the playoffs. A big part of that is my confidence in Drake's ability to elevate this offense to a solid level. And then I do think the defense is very solid. And the defense was good in this game. I thought the Bills shot themselves in the foot a lot offensively in a way that is totally uncharacteristic, and that's a big reason that they lost this game. But I did think the coverage was pretty damn good from the Patriots, especially if you look at that final series. I mean, their ability to cover everybody basically as Josh is extending these plays for 6-7 seconds, like, that's really difficult to do. And they were also able to really bottle up James Cook in the run game, which last 3 weeks, I mean, he's just been shredding everybody on the ground. He's been playing as well as any running back in football, and the Bills' offensive line has been playing just about as well as any offensive line in football. So yes, the Bills definitely played below their level offensively, but the Patriots did a pretty good job of making life harder on them, made a couple big plays, a couple of really nice moments from DBs just crashing down. I mean, I think about that 3rd and 10 final offensive play of the game for the Bills. Khalil Shakir's just got to come back to that ball a little bit harder, but it's a great play by the safety as well. And then you have the Marcus Jones interception earlier. He just cuts right in front of that ball. He knows he's got the safety help behind him. Couple of really good plays. So I'm frustrated with the Bills for sure. I think that this was a bad performance. This is a game that if they play a typical Bills game, they still win. And we know what they are. They're still going to cruise to this division. But the Patriots, with the schedule they have, with Maye playing at this level with a pretty solid defense, it's a very real chance we see them in the playoffs.
Hear me out, bro. 8 games. Like, I would be disappointed at this point if the Patriots didn't go 11-6. Saints, Titans, Browns, Jets, Bengals, Giants, Jets, Dolphins. Like,
yeah, man.
I mean,
absolutely.
Dude, like, the Patriots should roll in all those games if Drake plays like we expect him to. And like you said, man, I've been really impressed with the defense and the additions they've made Milton Williams, Harold Landry, Robert Spillane made a big play tonight. Like, and Vrabel's a good defensive coach. I think they got one of the better secondaries in the league. Like, it's just a good recipe for success, man. Solid defense, good coach, star quarterback that I believe in. Like, yeah, I think the Patriots should be in there, man.
They should be 4-1 right now. If they had not given away the game
around with
to the Steelers.
Exactly. And
which, shout out Ramondre, another fumble in this game, most by any running back in the last 2 years.
Bro, yeah, I got a fun fact. He's got tied most in the NFL since entering the league, 17 with Austin Eckler. Shout out, man.
That's a lot of fumbles. But that's the level that the Patriots have been playing at. They didn't really play up to their potential in week 1. That was an underwhelming game from them. And look, like, this is not to say that they are a contender. They're not. I just don't think that they have the talent really on either side of the ball to be that. I don't think that they have the playmakers on offense.
They could win a playoff game, though.
Maybe depending on the matchup. I think that they definitely be a dog. We'll see. The AFC, man, is just not what we expected it to be, with the Ravens' major struggles, with the Chiefs not looking quite as hot out the gates as we would have expected. The Chargers, now their offensive line being decimated. Like, there's no dominant team in the AFC right now, and there's not that many teams that look elite. So maybe because of that, there's an opportunity. But what I was saying coming into this game is, look, we're going to look up after week 8, and the Patriots are going to be 5-3, and Drake Maye is going to be playing really well, and he's going to start to get a lot more credit. Then the only thing that I miscalculated was, well, the Patriots won this game too, and so that credit's going to come a little bit sooner, and Drake Maye was great in this game. But the reason I said they'd be 5-3, and now I think it should be 6-2, is because their next 3 games are Saints, Titans, Browns. So no question there's a major opportunity with the schedule. But this is the toughest game on the schedule, man. You go to Buffalo and you get a win all the same. So props to Drake Maye, props to Stephon Diggs especially. On the flip side of this, you look at the Bills and you have to be disappointed. What went wrong for them, Logan?
It's a punch in the gut, man. It's a hard look in the mirror. It's a really ugly win for the Bills. One, I thought the first, I
wish it was an ugly win. Would have taken an ugly win
for sure. I wanted to clown on them. I don't know what those goofy ass uniforms they were rocking were, man. They looked like the Dallas Cowboys. I think you play like the Dallas Cowboys. Penalties.
Get a little red, white, and blue, huh? How about a little patriotism, huh?
I wish they had the old red helmets back, if I'm being honest, man. That was the Bills' best look. But it's just them shooting themselves in the foot, man. Penalties, turnovers, like they lose the turnover battle 3-1. Josh
First time they've lost the turnover battle in, I believe, 26 games. They had the NFL record for most consecutive games not losing the turnover battle, and they lost it. That's why it's so uncharacteristic.
That's an awesome fact. And it's weird because, that was the stain on Josh that people talked about for so long, right? Is that he turned the ball over all the time. And they've been great at it. They lose 3-1 tonight. That's how you lose a close ball game. Allen's turnover in the red zone, that's the biggest. You can't do that there. Like, I'm going to put that on him. I
don't know if that's the biggest. I mean, obviously that's big, but they also fumbled inside their own 20. It's 3 points for the Patriots when the Bills defense was actually playing well early. They're both 3-point swings at least.
Exactly. And you just can't do that in a close game. And at home like this, man, against New England, like it's a division game. Like you said, man, I don't expect this to have like a meaningful impact on the Bills in the division. I still think they're going to win the division. The Bills will pick it up, but it's like this ugly reminder. It's not a characteristic loss for Buffalo, but it's becoming more and more often like just these ugly losses in these big games where Buffalo should just handle business, and they don't. They play with their food. I just mean, like, this is the way it feels like Buffalo loses, man. And
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. The Bills haven't lost a bad game in a long time, man. Their offensive formula is the most consistent in football it's so simple.
I'm not characterizing it the right way. I just mean the playmakers didn't pull their weight. The defense didn't play well. Like, I thought Josh had like a bad play, but I thought Josh did his job most of the night. It was, I don't know, the surrounding pieces and mistakes that let him down tonight, man. Like, I'm disappointed with Buffalo, man. You said it earlier too. I'm kind of disappointed with there not being a standout team that I buy into, that I believe in. I'm just disappointed that there's not somebody I feel like that I can really bet on, man. There's nobody that stands out above the pack right now, and I believed in Buffalo in that way. And they let me down here. This is a game that they should handle business, and they do it again.
And look, even the last couple games, like you talk about playing down to competition, the Dolphins game was closer than it should have been. The Saints game even was closer than it should have been. And they end up winning by 10 and 12, and they put up more than 30. So you're like, okay, the Bills are good enough that they can kind of sleepwalk to these wins. But those are against bad football teams, and you play a pretty good football team, and you're not going to be able to get away with it. Nevertheless, this was another level, totally, just in terms of disorganization, self-inflicted errors, because the Bills have literally been the best team in football at avoiding those for the last year plus. Last year, they had the fewest turnovers by a team in a season in NFL history. Through the first 4 games of this season, they had 1 total turnover, and it was an arm punt on 4th down this past week. Like, they were the best at avoiding sacks last year. They were just the ultimate stay ahead of the sticks, never take a negative play. We can grind you up with the run game because we're so physical. Our line is great, and we've got an ass-kicking running back. And then also, our quarterback is the best in football, and he's now gotten to this level where he was so incredibly surgical at taking the easy stuff. We've got more screens. Everything is just baked into our offense. And yes, we can still go above and beyond, and Josh can do this special stuff, but we don't need that to hang 30 on you. And we're going to take less risk as we hang 30 on you than any other elite offense in football, basically. Like, that's been the formula. And this first quarter was just ridiculous, dude. I mean, 5 penalties and 2 fumbles. You dig yourself a hole early, and really they weren't down that much because the defense actually played well early in this game, and then they were quite bad in the second half. But that was costly to me, to just get out to such a slow start. And then the other really bad shoot yourself in the foot sequence is they're marching down the field. They've got 2nd and 3 at the 10. You have an offensive pass interference penalty. That pushes you back 10 yards, 2nd and 13. Now Josh presses. He throws the pick. It was a bad decision. I also thought it was a really good play, though, by Marcus Jones, as I mentioned earlier. And that puts you in a position that you just shouldn't be in if you were able to take care of business as you usually do offensively. I tweeted this out during the game, but first quarter, the Bills had double the yards per play that the Patriots did. They were just having these bad pre-snap penalties and holds, and again, 2 kind of crazy fumbles. I mean, a botched handoff to Dawson Knox on an end around. God knows why that was even the play. And then Keon coughs it up after a catch deep in Buffalo territory as well. So that's not something that I worry about going forward, but it was really, really frustrating in this game. And then you look at that last series, and it's just like somebody's got to make a play ultimately. Somebody's got to be able to get open when you've got 6-7 seconds. Nice, 6-7. Nice, 6-7, Logan. It's going to go viral. That was frustrating. Overall, I thought that Josh played a fine game. I mean, I thought that he did a lot of really good stuff. I thought he was composed for most of the game. I thought he consistently beat a lot of those man looks with his legs. And I do really love just the balance of this offense between the run and the pass, but also within the receiving game. I mean, they really hit you over the head with the everybody eats theme on the broadcast, but it is true. Like, trusting Khalil Shakir to make his plays after the catch in the quick passing game, trusting Keon Coleman when you need a one-on-one contested catch. Dalton Kincaid has been playing so much better this year, him being kind of your reliable guy over the middle. Like, I really like that formula, but ultimately you got a Shakir drop on a screen on that last series. Keon, this was not on him whatsoever, but like, he's just not able to quite get his feet in bounds on that jump ball. Josh just throws it out of the back of the end zone. And then you have Khalil again on that last play, not fighting back to the ball as I would have liked to see him do. The offense is definitely responsible for this game. However, I do think they're the best offense in football. What worries me more is just feels like the same old story with the defense, man. And it's not that the Bills have a bad defense. It's just that the defense is painfully mediocre and it is lacking a playmaker. Like, it would just be so amazing one year to see a disruptor on this defense, to see a pass rusher up front who can consistently win one-on-one, to see somebody in the secondary who can create confusion and make big swing plays. And the Bills usually are a very, very great turnover when it comes to forcing turnovers, a great defense when it comes to forcing turnovers, I should say. But the pass rush is still so frustrating. The inability to create pressure with 4, the major difficulties getting home. I give a lot of credit to Maye for not taking sacks, but also it's like, you got to finish one of those plays. You have to create some sort of momentum, get the Patriots behind the sticks. And the Bills just couldn't generate those kind of big plays, and they couldn't generate that pressure. And that's just an unfortunate recurring theme with this defense, especially in big games. This isn't a big game, but it's their first loss of the season. So in that sense, it is an important one.
I mean,
And
you guys got Ed Oliver coming back. Like that doesn't, get you going a little bit.
that'll be nice. I guess that gets me going a little bit, but Bosa has just been inconsistent. He's had some highs. He's also had like some really bad mistakes when it comes to keeping contained, like getting badly fooled by fakes. He has been mixed in terms of his contributions. Rousseau is just like solid. It's like, yeah, man, there's a lot of solid on this defense. They're up and down against the run. Some of the coverage stuff, I still don't like the safeties. Trey White he's so old, man. I mean, he's just washed, and they have to figure out corner. And hopefully it's Max Hairston once he comes back and he's healthy, the first round pick this year. Maybe that's a lot to ask of a rookie, but Trey was just getting toasted out there, and there has to be another answer in terms of starting corners. So the Bills are flawed. We knew the Bills were flawed. Still think they're the best team in the AFC right now. I don't know, man. I don't see a great team, not just in the AFC right now, but in the NFL. Feels like everybody's got a significant flaw. It's not often you get to week 5 and there's no undefeated teams, but it feels very appropriate with all of the cracks in the armor that we're seeing, even from the top teams in the NFL this year.
No, I completely agree. I don't think anybody's really separated from the pack. I think everybody is flawed. And I mean, it's a cliche, but any given Sunday, I really feel that way this year more than any other year, though. Like the Bills I'm disappointed for you, man. I'm just disappointed in the Bills, man. I thought they were going to be the team. I put the kiss of death on somebody else, though.
Who's that?
I gave him the jinx, man.
Oh, to the Bills?
No, to Philly.
Oh, yeah. Well, both of our number ones in our power rankings fell this week. Ultimately, I think you can put a fair bit of this loss on the Bills offense for not playing up to their standards, but everything with the Bills is going to come down to the defense. That's just the reality of it. And in this game down the stretch, they just weren't good defensively for half of this football game. I mean, you can't get a stop, except one time they did. And that's where it's like, all right, 2017, you get the ball back. You expect the Bills offense to drive down, get a touchdown, now force the Patriots to get a touchdown in response. Don't just let them get a field goal. And that's where, again, I think the Bills offense has to own that. But big picture, it's more frustrating for me when I feel like the defense isn't able to get off the field and they're not able to really make an opposing offense uncomfortable, because time and again, that's kind of been the theme over the years. When the Bills do fall short, very often that is at the root of it. So it's a really good win for the Patriots. They're looking good. Drake Maye is the truth, no question about it. It's a bad loss for the Bills, but the Bills will be fine. They'll bounce back against the Falcons this next week. Let's move on to the next team, Logan, that you did, as you say, give the kiss of death, the other undefeated that fell today. The Philadelphia Eagles fall to the Denver Broncos. What did you take away from this game?
Yeah, man, I'm 2 for 2 on the jinx. I got the Packers week 2, dropped them against Cleveland, and I got the Eagles this week against our good friend Bo Nix. I do want to start, like, I want to give credit to Sean Payton in Denver. I don't want to be insincere. This is a great win for them. They came back down 14 in the fourth. They sacked Hurt 6 times. I don't know if this was a part of Philly's game plan or Denver disrupted them like this because of the game script, but they held Saquon to 6 carries. Philly has 0 points in their final 5 drives. They go 2 of 11 on third down. And the most important thing to me is that the one red zone stop they get. Like, Philly was 11 of 11 on red zone drives coming into this game. And, typical, like, they're a great short yardage team. Like, they spam, tush push, sure, but they can get yards when it matters. And they get a stop there. Also, Sean Payton, I love the aggressiveness to go for 2 to take that. That's a big swing play right there, man. And it's the same guy that did the onside kick in the Super Bowl. We know Sean Payton has stones. He's going to make big plays. And that's something we've talked about on this show for a long time, Carson. But I like aggressive coaches, man. I like guys who are willing to make that play. Like, aggressiveness in gambles.
I had to convert you to this.
You did.
You used to be Steelers pilled. You used to be Mike Tomlin pilled. And I had to say, no, Logan, put your balls on the table and let's roll some dice.
Type. Exactly, man. Like, it's so much more valuable, just those swing plays and being willing to go for it. And I like it. Like, you immediately swing the momentum in that game and put Philly on the ropes. Like, all right, y'all got to answer. Like, it's not a tie game. And not that Philly crumbled. I do have some gripes with the calls in this game. I did not like how Denver won this. Like, again, I want to give credit to them. There were some calls I didn't like. The 4th and 4, Hurts finds Smith on a go route. It is a beautifully high-pointed ball by Hurts. And they get the illegal shift penalty. I'm okay with that one ultimately. I get it. It's a procedural one. It's like ticky-tack, but I understood it. The missed intentional grounding, I really had beef with, Carson. Like,
really?
That was clear to me. Like, I stood up. I couldn't believe it wasn't called initially, and then they make the call. And I thought it was weird how they handled that they go, okay, now we're going to call intentional grounding, and then they decided it wasn't. You didn't think that was
weird?
You didn't think that was a bad call?
Generally, NFL refs are pretty damn lenient with what they consider in the vicinity for a receiver. You've got a guy coming back to the ball who's probably 8-10 yards deeper than where it actually lands. Obviously, he has no chance to actually make a play at the ball, but that's not how it's judged. I mean, it is literally in the general vicinity. So I agree how they handled it was weird, but I was totally fine with that not being intentional grounding with how the rule is generally officiated.
The ball didn't get back to the line of scrimmage.
But that doesn't matter if there's a receiver in the vicinity.
I guess we're going to have to disagree on that one. I didn't like that. And then, I mean, for me, I thought it should have been called. It would have been a 10-yard penalty and loss of down. So it goes from 2nd and 6 to 3rd and 6. Instead, it would have been 3rd and 16. Later in the drive, though, the biggest call to me, I get it, man. You want to protect offensive players, but I think there is a really fine line with judgment calls from players. And I wish refs would do a better job of understanding where the players are coming from situationally. Zach Bond is an all-pro linebacker that knows how pivotal of a play this is for the defense. You know, it's 3rd and 2. You have to stop him before he gets to the sticks. He has very short to go. You're going to stop them, you know, with 2:27 left. So you're going to at least have the 2-minute warning, which is a big swing for the offense. Like, that burned an extra minute 16 off the clock. What did you think about that penalty? I wish they had just given him a little bit of grace. Like, sure, he's a little bit late on the hit, but you just have to understand his intent, in my opinion.
I agree. And I think you also have to understand the context and the stakes of the moment. Like, in a spot like that, I'm just more inclined to say to a ref, hey, hold your whistle, right? Because to me, generally, like, the most infuriating thing is, okay, you get a stop on 3rd down and there's some sort of late hit. There's some sort of dumb penalty that costs the defense. And oftentimes it's like, it's a legitimate mental error by the defense, right? You can't just go hitting people late willy-nilly. That's how you cost yourself. But man, when you are talking about a 3rd and 2 game on the line kind of play, ball carrier actively fighting for extra yardage, and he's only got to gain like 1 more yard. It's like, it's just football instinct for Zach Bond, who is in the vicinity, to want to come in and make sure that he finishes that play. He doesn't do anything extracurricular. He doesn't come in with extra force. It's not helmet to helmet contact. Like, that's something that I would deem marginal. Yes, he slides into a ball carrier who is down at that point. He does make some contact to the helmet. It's not helmet to helmet though, but I just think there was nothing malicious there. And for that to be a defining call in the game is frustrating to me. And I also think, like, what's tricky here is we give a lot more leniency to offensive players when it comes to continuing after the play is dead, because if you are down and you think it's like remotely questionable, you can just get up and start running again. That's not a penalty. There is literally no drawback to that if you're an offensive player. You can keep playing after the whistle and they'll just keep blowing that whistle and nothing happens. If you're a defensive player and you want to make extra sure, well, it's a 15-yard penalty. And obviously I understand why that's the case, because you can actually like inflict harm on people by hitting them. But I do think there's a line where there has to be a judgment call. If this guy's fighting for extra yardage, the game is on the line, Zach Bond is just trying to make sure they finish the play. I don't think that it's a bad play by him. It's not like in the Bills game where you got a 1st down and James Cook is sitting there on 1 knee, and a second and a half later, Farmer just flies in and is like, I've got some killer instinct. Like, that's a fucking late hit. This, to me, if you call it in the 1st quarter, it's okay. in this situation, I just would have liked to seen them hold the whistle.
I agree. That was the big one to me. Just like that felt like because I was already mad about the other two, and then that one was just like the last blow. I just want to see games get, called fairly. I ain't got a dog in the fight. But the last two, what's ironic, they called an 18-yard defensive pass interference on Skinner, the first one in that next drive. I didn't think that one was DPI. I thought Goddard fell down, and that was kind of incidental. And then the second one that they didn't call, I thought that Goddard kind of got mugged by Skinner there and was like all over him. And that one didn't get called. But regardless, what we're building to, Philly still does deserve an immense amount of criticism for this loss. Like I mentioned all of that earlier, 2 of 11 on third down, 0 points in their final 5 drives. On the year, they are 29th in yards per play at 4.42. The only teams below them, the Browns, the Bengals, and the Titans, they're at 3.5 yards per carry. That is also 29th in the NFL. And they're averaging 6.4 yards per pass. That is tied 24th in the NFL. The most damning number to me, Carson, is about Saquon Barkley and the fact that he is averaging 3.1 yards per carry on the season. That is the 3rd worst mark in the NFL, minimum 50 carries. And that's just really concerning to me. This guy is the offensive engine for this team. He is what makes this offense special, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think this team has a lot of Pro Bowlers, all pros. They are stacked at a lot of different groups. The offensive line is still very good. They've got 2 very talented wide receivers. Saquon, to me, is the thing that makes this offense special. And if they can't get the run game going, there's just a dynamic of this offense that's missing to making them really dangerous. And specifically against some of these other teams in the NFC, like, if we're thinking about potential playoff matchups, like, and hear me out because I know they beat them. So this is going to sound kind of dumb, but the Bucs, and I'm thinking about Baker Mayfield all the time, baby.
Oh, of course.
He's always on my mind. The Buccaneers and the Rams, and then like the Commanders, like, and I get that they already won these games. We're going to see what they got against the Commanders. Like, those are volatile offenses, and I feel like in a rematch, if this offense continues at the trajectory that they're at, incapable of moving the ball through the air and on the ground, it's just not the best recipe. And I think the Eagles are going to pay for it. It's weird, man. They have so much talent, and yet the results are horrendous to this point. And it's their major flaw. Like, we're talking about the Bills. This is the Eagles' Achilles heel right now.
This is why I look at every single team that is in the Super Bowl conversation, and I see a significant flaw with every one of them. We can talk about the Bills defense, but the reason that I like the Bills a little bit more than the Eagles is I'd rather bank on the best offense in football with a flawed defense than an elite defense like Philly's with an offense that is struggling this significantly. Now, the argument is, yes, they do have the talent to snap into form, and we've seen them get off to a slow start last year offensively and then really pick up steam as things came along later in the year. But it wasn't this bad, man. I mean, you're talking about those ranks towards the bottom of the league in every offensive metric, and that has been extremely consistent. Like, their wins have been on the back of super big swing special team plays or clutch defense, or the one thing they have done well offensively is just totally limit turnovers. But that's not a formula I want to be relying on week after week. Really, the only time this offense has looked very good all year was in the second half against the Rams. They were able to have more success throwing the ball in this game. That's good, because that's been the biggest concern with this team, right? At times, just the totally anemic passing attack, not even being able to get the ball to Devontae and A.J. Brown. But nevertheless, some issues still in that regard. In this game, you mentioned the last 5 drives, no points, 2.7 yards per play. Jalen Hurts does take 6 sacks. I thought that he played a solid game today, but the one knock that you consistently have with him is at times not being decisive enough, not processing the game quickly enough, holding onto the ball for too long, taking some of those sacks. So I do think that he bears responsibility for that. But overall, the run game is just inexcusably bad. I mean, there is no reason with this offensive line and Saquon Barkley to be struggling to run the football like this, and yet they consistently have. So the play calling is very lackluster. It's such a story of the Philly experience of these last few years, but this is your fourth OC in 4 seasons. And 2023, there was the drop off from Steichen's play calling. He engineered a great run game to Brian Johnson, who was bad, and the run game dropped off. And last year, you got Kellen Moore. You're a very good offense. This year, now Patullo has just been really, really struggling as a play caller, not creative. But there's really no reason for the run game to be struggling this much. Like, the run blocking hasn't been good. The play calling's been bad, but it's just really disappointing. And overall, Philly's been outgained by at least 50 yards in every game. Like, this is a real cause for concern, man. This is a major red flag. Winning covers up a lot. And I think a lot of people give them the benefit of the doubt of, oh, they're the reigning Super Bowl champs. But when you're 5 weeks in and you've got one good half of offense to speak of, and you are, again, bottom of the barrel in every metric offensively, running, passing, that's a real problem.
Yeah, the good news is, the silver lining, if we're going to find one here, is the fact that Philly has all the talent in the building. Like,
yeah, they do.
I really do think it is just strategic. And that sucks because they have something that they need to address, but I still believe in the ability of these guys.
It's also so frustrating. We haven't seen a remotely balanced performance. It's like, yeah, they were able to open up the passing game a bit more in this one, but it came at the expense of like them not running the ball whatsoever. Saquon had 6 carries in this game. It's just a lot of baffling play calling and strategy from Philly's offense. But I do want to give credit to the Broncos. This is a huge win for them. This is like the season defining win up to this point, but for them to be able to dig in down 17-3 and come back and win this one, I thought was really impressive. And I do want to talk first off about the defense. Like, that's always going to be the great strength of this team. They were arguably the best defense in football last year. If you take out the Eagles, I'd say they were better than everybody else, and they got better on paper coming into this year. I do think that they are going to be able to replicate an elite defense. I think they've been playing at a really high level. And specifically, I just got to shout out Nick Bonito, because I think that guy's a pretty clear defensive player of the year up to this point. And they were also hitting us over the head with the idea on the broadcast of this game today that, like, hey, Nick Bonito's underrated. Nick Bonito's underrated. But he really is. For him to be comfortably leading the league in pressures, comfortably leading the league with 7 sacks, he doesn't get talked about enough. While he's been the best player, shout out Pat Surtain, but this year Bonito's been the best player on one of the best defenses in football. What a monster he is, and came up with 2.5 sacks in this one. And offensively, I thought their playmakers made plays. Like, Courtland Sutton is so damn good, dude. I want to say he might be a top 10 receiver in football. And then I think about how insanely stacked the receiver position is. I don't know if I can get there, because there are so many guys who just make my jaw drop with what they do routinely, but he's certainly a top 5 athlete at the receiver position. I mean, what he is able to do in terms of contested catches one-on-one, but also separating deep. He's a monster. Evan Engram has the really nice play after the catch for the touchdown on their go-ahead drive. And I thought that Bo Nix did a nice job on those last couple of drives. Now, certainly we'll have people like Supernova in the chat, the GOAT, saying Bo Nix is him. Slanderers, stay quiet. Bo has been bad this year. I don't think that there's any way around that, but he was able to come up with a couple clutch drives when they needed it. Nevertheless, you don't win this football game without your defense holding Philly's offense scoreless on their last 5 drives. And I do think you got to give a lot of credit to them there. But also, like you said, I mean, I loved Peyton going for it, and I was hoping he would. Now, the analytics say you should go for it on the first touchdown when you're down 14, because then you have the most information. You can know, okay, if we don't get it this time, we have another chance and we can go for it again and we'll tie the game up. Or if we get it this time, great. Next time we just kick the extra point and go ahead. So technically he should have gone for it on the first one, but there's no need to be nerdy about this, Logan, because the way he did it was more dramatic. They got more aura. They got the go-ahead 2-point conversion, which was a great play call as well. And I just think, like, there's so many good outcomes that come from that aggression. Because first of all, you're the road dog, right? Philly is on average the better team here, and they're at home. So they have the advantage if you're playing for the tie. The more you extend this football game, you figure that probably favors the Eagles. But also, by going for 2, trying to take the lead, obviously, if there's no more scores, which felt like a real possibility with kind of how this game would have been played, very defensive-minded with some flawed offenses, well, you just win the game. Or if you get a field goal like this, I mean, what a difference that makes, dude. Now you're forcing Philly to play for the touchdown. If Philly was just playing for a field goal to tie, They probably could have done it. I mean, we don't know what the butterfly effect would have been, but they got into field goal range at the end of this game and they couldn't kick a field goal. They were down 4. So I thought that was a great decision, and I really did like that. And it got Denver a much needed and very impressive win. Shall we move on, Logan, to your favorite game of the day, I'm sure, when you got to watch your darling baby boy engage in the ultimate quarterback duel of the comeback stories, man. The dudes who had been written off and did not write back. Shout out to Geno. We'll talk about him later. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. Before I let you go off and expound about this game, Logan, here's a crazy stat. This was the first ever regular season game where both quarterbacks completed over 80% of their passes, and they both had 340 plus yards. We watched gods play football in this game today, Logan. What did you take away from your boy Baker's performance in the Bucs win?
That's why he's top 10. That's why he's stamped. That's why he's that guy. Carson, did you know that all of the Buccaneers' wins this year have been game-winning drives?
I did. This one wasn't really a game-winning drive.
Yeah. I mean,
the game-tying drive was very impressive.
Dude, I hated how it was just the turnovers in this one, too, because Baker and Sam Darnold just so impressive, man. It really makes you wonder just about situations and how they shape these quarterbacks, man. Like,
it's insane.
That's really just kind of my defining takeaway from this game is, I don't know, you give these guys time, you let them develop, like you build the infrastructure around them, and they can go out there and ball.
We talk about quarterbacks too much is probably the takeaway.
True.
Because every game, everybody wants to have some big take about the quarterback every season. And it's like, how can you ignore these sort of results? Now, Darnold is now doing it in 2 different situations in 2 years. So props to him for that. And I do think, obviously, both of these guys have just flat out gotten better with time. And there is a legitimate redemption story there. But also, it's not like Daniel Jones got way better overnight. It's not like Darnold got way better overnight. Situation is so important. Coaching is so important. All of this stuff is interrelated. But today, I mean, these were just 2 dudes slinging the football and balling the hell out.
What was most impressive to me about Baker slinging the ball today was Mike Evans is out. And this is something that I've been talking about a lot. One, but just how Baker performs when he doesn't have his top guy. Like he performed well last year. Not like crazy well without Evans, but Evans and Godwin both missed time, and the offense still produced. I actually think they were winless in games without Mike Evans last year. But
wow.
They're down Mike Evans in this one. And Emeka Egbuka just looks like a superstar, man. The guy is the total package. He goes for 7 catches, 163 yards, and a TD in this one. He's just so special. Like, and that's what makes this Buccaneers team so dangerous to me, man. I wonder if I still have them too low in my power rank or contender rankings. Like, I look at all the flawed teams, and this is not just me fired up on that Baker Mayfield. He's sweet. He's awesome. He's everything I ever wanted in a quarterback. He's gnarly. But I do think this Bucs team is damn good, man. Like, I really like the defense in their depth. I like the defensive front. They've got guys that I believe in. I wish that Kalijah Cansey was healthy, but they've got guys, Vita Vea, Levante David. I like their secondary. I believe in their coaching. Like, they're consistent. I know they got crushed today. The Seahawks were just out there slinging it, but they've got the personnel offensively to give it back. Like, all the guys, Rashad White, Bucky Irving, Mike Evans when he's healthy, Emeka Egbuka, and the offensive line when they're fully healthy. Like, this team is just really damn talented. They've been consistent to start this year. They are head and shoulders above everybody in their division. They are going to, I think, walk into the playoffs this year, maybe with a pretty high seed. Like, I think the Buccaneers are kind of scary. And Baker, the big thing too, man, I will say, Baker in a big-time moment, give me Baker, man. Like, I'm in on it. A game-winning drive, he's trailing, he's down 7. I don't know if there's any other quarterback I'd want right now, man. Baker is that guy in the clutch. In one drive, give me Baker, man. Give me Baker.
Okay. Look, he's got the clutch resume to support that this year, although he did have the bad clutch pick last week, but we don't talk about that.
That didn't happen. I don't even
remember that. That being said,
that.
Logan, as much as you are a Baker truther, you and I were talking this past week, and we were like, Baker really hadn't played that well this year. I mean, he had the clutch drives, but those were also a product of them being in these games against pretty mid teams. And like, he wasn't giving you the sort of elite production that he did last year. And how can you ever move on without Liam Cohen? How can you proceed and pretend that things are the same when his beautiful, radiant face and his brilliant mind aren't there? It's really difficult to do. This was maybe the best game of Baker's career, man. He was spotless. He was sparkling. He was radiant. It was magical. He was just slinging that shit, just in complete control this entire game. I mean, 4 incompletions, for God's sakes, with what did he have, like 380 passing yards? The throw that really stands out in my mind, though, is the last touchdown to tie it. Rolling to his left, gets it back to Sterling Shepard, his old college buddy, with all of the zip it needed into a window that was closing fast. Like, that was a hell of a throw. And what's so impressive is when we think about this Bucs offense and why they were so elite last year, first thing that comes to mind is really balance. And a huge part of that is the dominant run game that they had last year. They did not get the run game going in this one. They haven't gotten the run game going this year like they did last season, which maybe is a concern going forward. Bucky Irving's out for this game, but again, they hadn't gotten it going with Bucky Irving on the field. Shout out Liam Cohen for that. The run game coordinator GOAT, as we all know. Nobody can scheme up a run game like
also
old
the
Liam.
The GOAT Bucky Irving was out today too.
That's what I just said 30 seconds ago, but I also said they had been struggling even when he was on the field. But here is a point in the Bucs' favor. Their offense hasn't been as fluid and seamless and dominant as last year. They also haven't played a single game with all of their best offensive players healthy. They were down Wirfs and Godwin. Now they're down Mike Evans the last couple weeks. Now they're down Mike Evans and Bucky Irving for this week. So to, in that moment, in a really big game on the road against a good team, get this Baker game, that's really encouraging. That's a nice notch on the belt for Baker and this Bucs team this year. I also just think Ibuka, like, what an absolute home run, man. The Bucs have been drafting really, really well these last couple years, but we've talked about this. I just love the idea that you are not worried about stacking too much talent at a supremely valuable position, especially when you have older guys who sometimes are banged up, especially with Godwin, and you can get an elite talent on a rookie contract. Like, why not just give yourself even more toys to play with on offense? Emeka Egbuka has been the best player on this football team so far this year. And he's been one of the best receivers in football. He's got the 4th most yards in the NFL. He's one of only 2 guys with 400 plus yards and 5 plus touchdowns. It's him and Amon-Ra. He's amazing. And he is absolutely the successor to the elite production that they have been getting from those older guys over these last many years now.
I was going to say, I mean, they've just drafted really, really well. They've gotten a lot of starters and really just hitting on their first round picks, like Ibuka, Graham Barton. They find Bucky Irving late, Kalijah Cansey, like Tristan Wirfs in 2020. You hit on your picks. If you do well in the draft, it's going to show through. And then obviously they luck into Baker Mayfield a little bit. He just kind of falls into their lap. Like, the Buccaneers are really talented, man. They're well coached. Like we've kind of been saying, the theme of the NFL right now, there doesn't really seem like there's a contender that is head and shoulders above the pack. I buy into the Bucs, and I think this is encouraging. It's been an encouraging start to the season from Seattle too, man. Like,
oh, totally.
The way Darnold's played, I wish they could be more consistent, like establishing the run. But I've been really impressed with Darnold. I like the defense. I wouldn't be discouraged about this game if I was Seattle. And the way Darnold's playing, I'm really excited. Him and JSN.
JSN is absolutely ridiculous, bro. He's another one of these receivers that just every week blows my mind. Him and Emeka both have been among the most impressive, especially just with the ability to separate deep. Like, every single game, these dudes are hitting at least one home run. They both had multiple of them in this one. But I got to give credit to the Seahawks, because these two teams played each other toe to toe. They both came into this game 3-1. It was very even throughout. My expectations for these two teams were not the same. I had the Bucs winning 12 games. I had the Seahawks winning 7, I believe. And I just undersold what this offense was going to be. And I have to give a lot of credit to Sam Darnold there. He has done a really impressive job all year. Yes, he has the one pick that does ultimately decide this game, but whenever you put up 35 points and you are the primary reason for that, like, I can't say that the loss is on you, like Sam Darnold played an A or an A- game. Baker played an A+ game. Like that's the difference, but it's a really, really high standard to hold somebody to. I thought that Darnold was great, and I think that he's been great this year. Also, if we're shouting out like the one play that will stick in my mind from both of these guys' games, actually for both of them, it's the final touchdown. The play that Darnold makes on 4th and 2 when this game was tied at 28, that was incredible. I mean, he evades the pressure, somehow escapes, and then like pressed up against his lineman, totally condensed pocket. He still gets the throw off to Horton, is able to see him and put that on the money. And it's a big, massive touchdown, obviously on a gotta have it down. Like, you just look at his numbers and you think about the level he's been at this year, dude. He's giving you 250 yards a game, 9.3 yards per attempt, 73% completion, 115 passer rating, 9 touchdowns, 3 picks. Like, he's playing really well. I thought that he was going to struggle a bit more being taken out of what I thought was a pretty optimal offensive infrastructure in Minnesota. I also do think that I underrated the offensive infrastructure in Seattle now. I do think that their pass protection has improved from the disaster that it had been the last couple years. And also JSN might just be top 5, man. He has 543 yards this year on 43 targets, Logan. The guy is averaging 13 yards per target, not per catch, per target. Those two are just doing a lot to carry this offense. Like you say, the run game's been inconsistent, but K9 did have a good game. He had that one massive run in this one. So props to Seattle. Yes, this is a loss, but they have overachieved my expectations, and they are a team that has a playoff chance. They're third within their division to me, but they're very legit because the defense is also really good. They got lit up today, but that was just Baker magic, baby.
Yeah, their division's tough, but I think they've got an outside
is.
playoff chance for sure.
This Ohio State receiver shit also, bro, it's not even funny. Every single year, they just send an absolute fucking stud to the league. It is ridiculous. Let's talk about another one of the big matchups of the day, Logan. Chargers-Commanders. Jaden Daniels back in action, and he picks up a win for Washington. So both of these teams are now sitting at 3-2. What did you take away from how Washington looked with him back on the field?
All right, check me if I'm crazy for this.
I will.
I think the Commanders have usurped the Ravens as the best rushing attack in football. I think they're number 1.
Oh boy. I mean, right now you could kind of say anything about the Ravens.
Well, I mean,
and get away with it. You could say Derrick Henry's washed. You could say they're the worst defense in football. Is that how we're going to feel at the end of the year? I have my reservations. I can't get there yet just because the Ravens last year were statistically the greatest rushing attack in NFL history. And basically every year Lamar's been healthy, they've put up numbers on the ground that nobody else ever has. Like whatever the stat is, 2,500 total yards on the ground and 5+ yards per carry. They have 4 of the 5 seasons in NFL history are the Lamar Jackson Ravens. So I'll hold off for a bit. However, they're definitely next on that list. And up to this point, like when Jaden's been on the field, sure. Why not? It's only 3 games and they did get shut down against the Packers, but today they were incredible.
I mean, not that I want to give him a pass, but that was on the road. It was a short week, Thursday night football. Like, I'm not excusing that. I think Jaden was banged up already. That's a tough spot. I just think the Commanders have one of the best rushing attacks in football. I think that's a superpower. Jaden Daniels is a top 10 quarterback, one of the guys I want most under center on my football team. What he can do to enhance your rushing attack, his ability to evade pressure, his agility, like he is so good. It just getting away and scrambling, making plays downfield after he gets out of the pocket. I mean, a ton of that today to Debo. Like, Jaden's special. The rushing attack is special. I think the offensive line is really good. So I believe in the front. I think it's one of the best running games in football. And then I've been really impressed with the defensive front too. Now, I think this game swings on a couple of really big plays, like all games, but the Hampton fumble, I thought the Chargers roughing the punter penalty, extending that drive was absolutely brutal. Not only the extension of the drive, but the fact that it took away.
I was so pissed.
The McConkey punt return, that was sick, man.
Dude, it was so sick, and he's jumping over Tressway's dead body at the end.
Yeah, fuck
and they
took
it all away.
Fuck
Whoa! Punter hate?
Tress Way one time stepped on the terrible towel. He was
Oh
disrespectful.
my God, this guy with the terrible towel.
You don't do that. You don't do that, man.
Yeah, wait until you find out about Big Ben. What
Bruh.
he did.
All
I've
right, man.
literally hit you with that exactly before, but I just can't believe you have this terrible towel in such a sacred place in your mind. It's a towel, man. It's laundry.
That's all right, bro. Anyways, Herbert throws a pick to Mike Sanders still at the goal line, too. Just some brutal swing plays that don't go into favor for the Chargers. And they fall apart late. I thought the Commanders just wore down this Chargers defense. I still think that they're a really good unit, but they look beat by the end of this game. And I do think this is a superpower that the Commanders have. And when they're able to establish the run, they're just really hard to defeat. They hold on to the ball. They have these long drives. They consistently get into short and manageable. Jaden is really good at converting those opportunities. And when you need a big play with his feet out of the pocket, creating something downfield, Jaden is one of those guys that can make special plays and swing games. And I really like Dan Quinn at the end of this game. Let's put it to bed. Jaden throws a big one to the end zone. Let's not play around with them. Let's put the Chargers to sleep. And the Chargers had some bad self-inflicted errors in this one, but I'm impressed with the Commanders, man. I think they're a sneaky contender too. I like Washington.
Well, you loved Washington preseason. You had them to the freaking Super Bowl, Logan.
I don't know. The NFC does still feel wide open. I couldn't put them at the top, but I still believe in Washington. They're in my top 10.
Well, to give some testament to your claim about them being the best rushing attack in football, statistically this year, they are. I mean, they ran the ball super well even when Jane was out. They ran it all over the Raiders. And even although he's only played 3 of 5 games, they are number 1 in rushing yards per attempt, 5.9, and they're number 1 in rushing yards per game. So you talk about the full strength Ravens. Yeah, there's something else. I will say the Bills rushing attack is just straight up dominant at this point. I won't put Liam Cohen's Jags quite up there, Logan, but just know that they're knocking on the outskirts of the conversation with the ETN resurgence. We all know what he does with the run game, but they've certainly got a claim, and their offense is super dynamic, and Jaden just looked great out there. He's just a stud. He is able to escape and make some of these throws downfield that just very few guys can do. And you're the one who's made this comparison. It's your take, basically. But I'm thinking about it today watching Drake Maye. I'm thinking about it today watching Jaden Daniels. Like, here's the reality. Josh and Lamar are 2 of the 10 greatest talents we've ever seen play the position, okay? So they are truly one of a kind. But Jaden does things that are like 80% of Lamar, which is still stuff that nobody else other than Lamar can do. I felt the same way watching Drake Maye today. He's doing like 80% Josh Allen stuff. So if we're doing the evolution, we've got Charizard, right? That's Josh and Lamar, but you got to acknowledge the Charmeleons, and that is Drake, and that is Jaden Daniels. So he's such a difference maker. And also, dude, Bill, we got to shout out Bill. Bill, it's very good. And really what's impressed me more with Washington is the pass rush and the defensive front, because I knew they were going to be a great offense. The reason I was shorting Washington is because of concerns about the defense. And yes, they're facing the worst offensive line in football. They faced a CFL offensive line today, an XFL offensive line, not an NFL offensive line. But like Dorrance Armstrong has just had a monster season. Like if you look at pressures, he is towards the absolute top of the league. He had another monster game today. So they got some big boys up front who are making some plays. It's a good game for Washington. I will say, though, I thought it said more about the Chargers. Like, we talked about the concerns last week with the offensive line injuries and how Herbert was pressured at an obscenely high rate, over 50% of his dropbacks, and that just made life so hard on them offensively. This game was worse somehow. Like, this was as bad an offensive line performance as you will ever see. And it is literally 5 backups. But it might be 5 backups for a bit, man. Obviously, Slater's not coming back. That sucks. Joe Alt is out for several weeks. We don't know when he's coming back. I don't know what the timeline is with Becton, but like all of this team's good players on the offensive line are out. And boy, do you notice it, because this offensive line makes it exceedingly difficult to win a football game against a good team, because I thought Herbert was really impressive. Maybe people will look at the box score who didn't watch this game and they'll think we're doing some sort of not his fault revisionism because that's what we do for Justin Herbert. No, man. Like, He was playing football today on the highest difficulty setting I've just about ever seen. Like, these pockets are collapsing instantaneously. And with pass rushers right in his face, like, he is just ripping tight window throws and he's converting over and over again. And he was running really well. He had 60 yards on the ground. Like, the degree of difficulty of what he was executing was as high as it can be. And sometimes it was just comical, dude. There was a sequence in this game. He converted a 2nd and 19 to Quentin Johnston. They picked up 23 yards. That came back on a holding penalty. Then he converted a 2nd and 28 to Keenan Allen. They got 30 yards or something. That came back with another offensive line penalty. Trey Pipkins was misaligned. He fucked it up. And then you get to 2nd and 33. And for what it's worth, I would have still taken a shot at that point. I would have said, all right, Herbert just made 2 crazy plays happen. Like, let's see if he can do it again. But conservative Jim Harbaugh just hands the ball up the middle. They run a draw, and like, that's basically the series right there. So he's doing everything that he can, and he's just like fighting the ultimate uphill battle, facing these ridiculous amounts of pressure. But it's back-to-back weeks that we've seen that now. So you can't write it off. And like, as great as he is, and he's been playing the quarterback position just about as well as anybody this year, he can't just overcome that automatically. It's so hard.
Yeah, he was pressured 38% of his dropbacks against the Commanders, which is, obscenely high. Over the last 3 weeks, Carson, he's been pressured on 45% of his dropbacks. Like, for context, like, I think
that's the worst rate in football.
I was going to say, I mean, off the top of my head, that would be like the dead last in football.
Is like right up there, but I think Cam Ward is at like 44%. So,
and
nobody's getting pressured more than Justin Herbert right now.
And the injuries are such a killer. Like, it sucks, man. Like, I do think the Chargers with a healthy offensive line are a bona fide Super Bowl contender. I know you said that from the beginning, man. That's been your take since the preseason, but
yeah,
I believe it, and it's disappointing.
It's just a bummer because you can see the potential. And earlier this year, I mean, we saw the potential when, at least Joe Alt and Mekhi Becton were healthy and the receivers playing better, Herbert playing the best of his life. And now you've got Trey Pipkins lining up in the backfield and you've got literally nobody able to block anybody. It's just brutal. And then on top of that, you've just got some bad breaks and some self-inflicted errors. The Quentin Johnston fumble, Conklin drops an easy conversion on 4th and 2 when they were on a potential scoring drive. And Herbert does have the ball deflected for the pick on 3rd and goal. I don't really think that was on him. I don't think he made a bad read. I mean, it was just a good play by the defensive lineman, but nevertheless, that's unfortunate. That's points wiped off the board. And the margin is just so thin. Like, Herbert has to be perfect because there's such an insane burden on him to execute under pressure. The run game just is not good. And also, like, Omarion Hampton is getting hit in the backfield more often than not. And God bless him, he's a power back. Like, he can shake off some of these tackles, but the run blocking is terrible. The pass protection is even worse. And these injuries have just been devastating to the offense. It sucks. They've got to get healthy, and then we'll see what this Chargers team can really do. Because right now we're looking at, again, a CFL offensive line, but that doesn't excuse the defense. I was very underwhelmed by the defense. This is a group that normally I think of as being exceptionally well coached, very sharp in their execution. Their tackling wasn't as sharp. They really struggled to contain Jaden in the pocket, get him down, finish plays, which is very difficult to do, but nevertheless, they were below their standards there, and they just got marched on the ground late. Like, they really couldn't get off the field in the second half. It was just kind of a slow, bleed them to death kind of performance as the offense was fighting this uphill battle and just made a couple of mistakes that they couldn't overcome. So I like the Chargers foundation, but some key blocks of that foundation are missing right now, and they are absolutely feeling the absence. But nobody, Logan, has more key blocks of their foundation missing than the Baltimore Ravens, who were without just about everybody this week. Lamar Jackson obviously leading the list there, but nevertheless, they got absolutely obliterated by the Houston Texans, who were 1-3 coming into this game. Logan, what do you take away from the Ravens now dropping to 1-4 after a 44-10 loss to Houston? Just how dire are things for Baltimore?
You got to wonder if Pittsburgh has a legitimate chance to win the North, and only because we don't know the severity of the injury to Lamar Jackson. That feels like I'm stating the obvious with that. It was strange how he went out initially. Like, we haven't really gotten an update at all on how long he's going to be out. You're hoping it's week to week, but we don't really know. And
it sounds like they're targeting to have him back after the bye because they play the Rams, then their bye. So that would be a little extra rest opportunity for him.
It just feels like this is a major opportunity, and this is optimistically as a Steelers fan. I have been as pessimistic on this year's Steelers as anybody, but
for real,
there's a real chance. The Steelers got 3 games to swing their way this week. The Browns lose to the Vikings. The Bengals get drubbed by the Lions, and the Ravens drop another to the Texans. So
I don't think you're too worried about the Browns or the Bengals anyways. So I'll go out on a limb.
That is 100%. The big one is Baltimore dropping another one in their slow start. And if the Steelers can just keep pace, I know ultimately what's going to happen. The Steelers are somewhere going to hit a skid, and we're going to end up going 10-7, like the 0-3 stretch of our schedule is looming. But there is a chance. But if Lamar misses a lot of time, man, there is an opportunity. The thing that you just have to be still completely disappointed with the Ravens, and is just so opposite of their identity as a team and a franchise, is the defense. I get that Cooper Rush puts you in some pretty bad spots with 3 turnovers. Sure. 44 points is still inexcusable for a Ravens defense. I don't care how tattered, man. This is what Baltimore hangs their hat on. I fear Baltimore. I hold them in a really high regard with what Harbaugh and this team consistently get out of their defense. Not really scared, man. Baltimore doesn't strike that fear into me at all. They have not shown it at all. They have gotten marched on by everybody. It's been embarrassing. This is the worst Ravens defense, I think, of my lifetime, man. I say that again as a Steelers fan. I respect the hell out of the Ravens. This defense is sorry.
And it's in many ways similar in personnel, not in this game because so many people were hurt. But if you look at this defense on paper coming into the year, you go, okay, this is a very similar group to the one that, as we've said many times, after week 11 last year was number 1 defensively in just about every major metric, finished the year on such a high note, and the struggles to an embarrassing extent continue. Now, we do have to read off the list of guys who are out in this game. There's no Marlon Humphrey. There's no Roquan Smith. There's no Kyle Hamilton. Matabike is done for the year, unfortunately, so he's gone. But, like, they're down so many good starters. But that doesn't mean this isn't humiliating. And this defense is statistically the worst in football right now. And yeah, the injuries have really piled up, but you go through every single game of the year and they let up 41 to the Bills, and they let up 37 to the Chiefs, and they let up 38 to the Lions. And like, this has been the reality week in, week out. They have just been totally helpless, very, very poorly coached. Zach Orr, like, at least for the first half of the season, sucks at his job. Last year, he was able to turn it around. We'll see if he can do some miracle work like that again this year. But this is the most concerning. Arguably, we understand the injuries, but like, look, the Chiefs, the Lions, the Bills, these are great offenses lighting you up. The Texans offense through week 3 was last in the NFL in like everything. You read off all the stats. They've been the worst offense in football. They certainly got the worst offensive line in football, and they put up 44 on you. The coaching had already been really bad, and you were already underachieving your talent badly. And now you just have like a shameful performance like this. A 24-14 loss to the Texans in these circumstances, you'd be like, all right, you know, at least we kept our dignity. Yeah, we lost. We didn't have most of our best players. So be it. You can never excuse a 44-10 loss to a thoroughly mediocre football team. And that, to me, just does speak to a team that is in a free fall right now, a team that is in chaos, and there's a lack of cultural stability there and preparation. And you have to look at the coaching. I mean, whenever you get your ass handed to you like this by a team that is 1-3 coming into this one, there's a floor that a good coach will give you, right? Like, I have all my complaints in the world about Sean McDermott. One thing I will commend him for is if he is down key guys, he's got an ability to coach up late round guys in the secondary to execute the scheme at a decently high level. There is a stability that comes with his scheme where, like, you are normally not going to get destroyed defensively. There are limitations in the big matchups against the best of the best, but like, he gives you a floor. The floor right now is in hell, man, for the Baltimore Ravens, especially on that defense. So It's really, really bad. Things are really dire because if Lamar doesn't play next week, and apparently there's an outside shot that he plays next week, but it seems less than likely, this team's going to drop to 1-5. They're not beating the fucking Rams with all these dudes out. With Lamar out alone, I mean, they're not going to beat the Rams. And you know how many teams have ever made the playoffs after starting 1-5, Logan, in the history of this game? I want you to guess.
0.
Well, there's actually 3. The 2018 Colts did it. The 2015 Chiefs did it. And then somebody did it in 1970, right at the merger. But that's very few teams in the history of this sport. And the crazy thing is, I really do think they could still do it. I really do think they could make the playoffs from that 1-5 start, like presuming that Lamar gets back and healthy, because the schedule is light after that. This schedule is super front loaded for them. They play pretty much all the best teams on their schedule early in the year, with the exception of the Packers, who they play in the second to last game of the year. But they'd be favored in probably every game but that one if they have Lamar back and if this defense is, just slightly less decimated. And with this division looking weak, not to disrespect the Steelers, Logan, but I know you don't even like the Steelers this year. Like, if you win 10 games and you have the head-to-head tiebreaker, if you beat the Steelers both times, like, that should win this division. That's just not a high bar for the Ravens to get to, considering the standard they've set to themselves, even if they start fucking 1-5 and lose one more game. But I mean, it's just so surreal they're in this spot.
It is. For any team, say they lose to the Rams, you're asking them to rip off and just go 9-2 casually.
Yeah.
That's tough as hell still. Like, their backs are against the wall, and they're second in yards per game allowed. They are dead last in points per game allowed. The other big concerning thing that I want to touch on real quick is just the fact that Derrick Henry has not been able to get going whatsoever. The fumbling issues, and this one, he has 15 carries for 33 yards. His longest run on the day is 7. Obviously, the game plan now for defenses changes, right? You're going to gang up on the box. You're going to load it up. But they haven't been able to get the same push that they get up front. And now with Lamar out, like, it's just going to be easier to game plan for them. I don't know, man. I'm just not ready to pencil them in for right now. I would take the Steelers to win this division the way I feel. Like, I'm there just because it's a lot for any team to just, yeah, man, let's go 9-2, even with Lamar. Like, it's hard for me to envision that. And the way the defense has been playing, I get health. I get that. But even when they were relatively healthy, this defense was getting marched on. So I'm just not inspired at all by Baltimore.
No, certainly. Certainly not.
I would take Pittsburgh to win the division right now. And
look, I think probably most people are aligned with you on that. I mean, I just read out how insanely unprecedented it is for anybody to make a serious run after starting 1-5. But there is an element for me of still banking on the talent. And maybe I look like a complete insane person at this point. And obviously I'm significantly lower on the Ravens than I was coming into the year. And health throws everything into question. Okay. Because even when they started 1-2, I was like, I guarantee you the Ravens will be in the playoffs, barring a significant Lamar Jackson injury, at which point everything is off the table. We just don't know. And that's what we have right now. I mean, Lamar is hurt and they're going to lose a couple games. It looks like almost certainly in his absence. But man, I don't know what's going to happen with this defense. If they get healthy, they do still have talent. And like Lamar being on the field, this offense just should be elite. And I understand that, yeah, maybe I look insane because they just have looked bad this year, but it does make me think of like the precedent of people counting out some of these really elite quarterbacks in the AFC that we've seen in recent years. I think back to Buffalo Bills, started 6-6 a couple years ago, 2023, and there were people who wanted to write them off. And what do? They reel off 5 straight wins. They get to 11-6. They win a playoff game. Like, Lamar Jackson has won 75% of his games as a starter in his career. That potential is still within this football team, but they couldn't possibly be in a worse spot right now. And like, it's not just the most disappointing start by a team this season. It might be the most disappointing start to a year I can think of by any team, Logan. I have never had a team number 1 in my preseason power rankings, and they start the year 1-4. I guarantee you that's never happened. So I am stunned. And even though I guess I'm holding on to a little bit of stock just because I think there is an opportunity with the schedule if they can get healthy later in the year with the division being weak. And if you get to the playoffs, who knows? And if they're in form by then, they could absolutely be dangerous. But regardless, it's absolutely horrible that they're in this spot. And if they don't turn it around, we know who that falls at the feet of. Like, this whole coaching staff is going to be gone. Zach Orr is going to be gone. Harbaugh is going to be gone, because there's just no way to have a disaster season like this in the heart of Lamar Jackson's prime and not make major changes. And that's where the major changes would be first off, I do believe. But there's a lot going wrong. Like you said, the Derrick Henry stuff, and Theo flagged this a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I got to hold out before I'm really concerned about it, because I did watch week 1, Derrick Henry bounce off of every single Buffalo Bills defender and have like 100 and something yards after contact in the first half. And with the season he had last year, with how he's already defied all historical expectations for running back longevity, I'm like, I need more of a sample size of him struggling before I freak out. But since week 1, man, outside of that Bills game, 37 yards per game, 3.2 yards per carry. He is struggling. He is not making dynamic plays out there. And also, this is a crazy stat. Dan Orlovsky, I saw mention this coming into this week. The Ravens have the lowest first down handoff rate in the NFL. Like, what the fuck is that, man? What is this team doing on both sides of the ball? Nothing good. Absolutely nothing good.
Well, and for context, that's with Lamar. You know what I mean? That's pre-Cooper Rush. Like,
right. But that is handoff rate. That's not run rate. That's handing the ball off to the running backs.
Well, exactly. And like, it's so confusing. Like, I will always think back to that AFC title game against the Chiefs where they lose 17-10 and they don't hand the ball off in that game, man. It's weird. And the Ravens have been doing this. And I don't know, man, this feels like the year where I just whiffed. I agree with you. I think that's a good take. I can't remember a team that has disappointed me more. The only team, and even I wouldn't put them on because they're not loaded like this. For me, it's the 2013 Steelers. We started 0-4. We ended the season 8-8, I think, that year. We were way better than our record, but like we got hot late. But this is Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, 2 Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
The greatest quarterback and running back tandem in NFL history, the greatest rushing attack ever last year. Like you said, man, the number 1 defense from week 11 on.
Yeah.
It's so confusing, man. I mean, they were our number 1 team in the NFL coming into the year, man. It's crazy.
And the NFL is a volatile league year to year. This is not a league that is lacking for crazy drop-offs from one year to the next. Obviously, the Super Bowl hangover. I mean, there's countless examples to think of in recent years. But when I do think about most of those examples, right, well, you've got a team like the 2020 Niners. Okay, they get ravaged by injury. You've got the 2022 Rams. Okay, they get ravaged by injury. I'm just thinking about teams that totally dropped off after at least going to the Super Bowl. The 2016 Panthers. But like, none of those teams had built up the resume of sustained success that the Ravens have. That's really the thing. When Lamar Jackson has been on the field pretty much since 2018, the Ravens have been an elite football team. They have probably 2022 when they missed the playoffs and they won 8 games, but also Lamar got hurt for some time that year. But you just penciled them in. Or sorry, 2021 was the year that they missed the playoffs.
I would say probably since the 2002 Rams. 2000, they make the playoffs. 2001, they lose in the Super Bowl. It already won the Super Bowl. And then 2002, they start 0-5 that year. I think that's probably the last team that's been, in my opinion, that's been this big of a letdown.
It's a great shot, Logan. And as much as I love my football history, I was not doing my power rankings going into the year when I was 1 year old.
Well, I was just saying.
No, it's a great shot. I'm just saying personally, I was not as disappointed by the 2002 Rams on account of I wasn't sentient yet as I am by the 2025 Baltimore Ravens. Again, I think maybe I'm holding out a smidge more hope than most people, but it's just crazy how bad what we've seen from Baltimore really is. And it's purely faith at this point to think that they are going to turn around. And I think there's actually some logic behind having the faith. Maybe it isn't pure faith. Maybe you are banking on a track record here, but boy, I mean, the second Lamar is back on that football field, the second out of the bye, the margin is 0. They've got to be perfect. They've got to get everything going up to their potential, and we'll see if they can do that. I mean, at least offensively, right? They've got to be able to hang 30 on everybody, and they have to be capable defensively. They don't have to be elite. They have to be good enough to win games. For Houston, I think this is a good game for them, obviously. Like, the good news is CJ Stroud is still good. I think there was probably too much panic about him. We've talked a lot about just how terrible the situation is, and maybe he hasn't progressed like you would have hoped, but I don't think he's actually regressed. I just think his production has taken a bit of a step back because the situation got harder, but you see what he can do in this game. Ultimately, though, this doesn't change much for Houston. I think they have all the same limitations. I think it said way, way more about Baltimore being in the gutter right now.
You know what? Morale booster game. Hopefully this gets the Houston offense going and they can build some confidence. I don't feel fundamentally different about them, though. I do think this says more about Baltimore.
Let's hop across the pond, Logan. Vikings-Browns. This was a fun game to get the day started. It's a Minnesota win. They improved to 3-2. What did you take away for them?
For Minnesota, you're just rolling the Carson Wentz dice, man. Every week. I think it's really going to be up to him. It sucks that they're banking on him. The Vikings are a quarterback away, I feel like, from being a legit Super Bowl contender. I will take them off of my contender radar. I just don't buy them. This is a team that could make the wild card. That's probably their ceiling. Be competitive in a playoff game, I think. Wentz is okay. He's solid at this point, can make plays. He's a roller coaster. I like Jordan Mason. Honestly, I'm more kind of excited about this game from the Browns. Like, the Vikings have some heroics. Justin Jefferson is still a monster. I'm excited about what Cleveland did with this rookie draft class, though. But it's just disappointing, man. Minnesota's got a ton of talent. And the only reason I say it's disappointing is just the fact that in the NFL and in sports in general, you have 1-year windows. And this team is so talented top to bottom that, it unfortunately feels like the quarterback is just going to be what they're missing from being a real contender. But this team's really good. And Jettas is still the best wideout on the planet, man. The guy's a freaking monster.
Amen, dude. Like, that's got to be the takeaway from this game. Well, it shouldn't be the takeaway. It should just be an affirmation. I think that people often get way too cute sometimes, like wanting to crown the new king just based on 1 year's production or whatever. Like, I was really surprised by how many people after last year were saying Jamar is the best receiver in football. And I think that Jamar is amazing, but people I've even seen like starting to say that Puka is the guy. Puka is amazing. He's had the best production of any receiver this year. It's Jettas, bro. It's Jettas every day of the week. I mean, what he has done since he entered the league, like, this is now year 5 of Justin Jefferson being the best receiver in football.
Is he still number 1 in career receiving yards per game?
Absolutely he is. He's 97 a game, I think, or 96, and he's got like 10 more yards per game than everybody else since he entered the league. It's just stupid. He's on a potential GOAT trajectory. You really can't say that because Jerry Rice's longevity is just so insanely stupid, but he's gotten off to as good a start to a career as anybody we've ever seen, and he's just about as good at his best as anybody to ever play the position. And the consistency, regardless of quarterback play, man, like, that's where he just totally separates himself. All the shout outs in the world to Jamar, who just as a pure physical athlete, probably is the craziest in the NFL, but he also had Joe Burrow throwing him the ball last year. Justin Jefferson, no matter who is under center, is going to give you top of the line production. This year, he's got 449 yards on 42 targets with the JJ McCarthy, Carson Wentz show. And the gravity that he has, the defensive attention he draws, his ability to make some of these clutch plays. I mean, the back shoulder 50-50 ball where he just beats Denzel Ward, that was so huge on that final drive. I just think it's a silly conversation, honestly, to even open up, who's the best receiver in football? It's Justin Jefferson. I don't hesitate to say that. He's held that crown now, again, for 5 years. It was also great to see Jordan Addison back out there, even though he didn't play first quarter, I believe because he missed a walkthrough earlier in the week. Very quiet until the end when he also made some big plays on that final drive, including the go-ahead touchdown. You're talking about relying on the Carson Wentz roller coaster. It's certainly suboptimal. Carson Wentz is one of the worst starters in the NFL this year, certainly for a team that actually has playoff talent on their roster. That being said, I don't think there's any way they can go back to JJ McCarthy. I still think that Wentz has clearly proven himself to be the better of the two options. He's just more composed. He's much more capable of reading an NFL defense. McCarthy was just a disaster for 7 of 8 quarters when we saw him. Pocket presence breaking down. I mean, really just a disaster in terms of his ability to process the game, make decent decisions. I mean, even athletically, right, just didn't look up to snuff with the velocity on his balls. So Wentz gives them a chance to make the playoffs that I don't think that McCarthy does. But Wentz is also going to be the limiter once they get to the playoffs. And that's why it is a bummer that they couldn't retain Darnold or they couldn't have gotten Danny Dimes on the contract that he signed with Indy. Like, just a more stable veteran option would have been a great thing for them to have. But ultimately, you say you're disappointed. A win is a win is a win. And I don't view Cleveland as a pushover. Like, they're one of the worst teams in football because their offense is so bad. But it certainly sucks to play them more than it does Miami or Tennessee or New Orleans because their defense is fucking legit, man. And that pass rush is monstrous. And that's going to keep them in a lot of games. And offensively, Judkins, like, he's really good. I mean, his cutting, his vision, he's impressive to me too. You talk about that rookie class. Nobody's played more snaps. No rookie class has played more snaps for their team than the Cleveland Browns this year.
Every rookie from this class has played except for Shedeur, which is pretty crazy, man. And I think it's got a chance to be a damn good one.
What'd you think of Dylan Gabriel?
Well, I was going to get to that. I'm not so much as sold on Dylan Gabriel. It's really everybody else. I like Mason Graham, Carson Schweschinger, Harold Fannin Jr. I think is going to be a starter or eventually a guy that plays a lot of snaps. Judkins, Sampson, like I think they have a lot of contributors, and that's rare. That I think often gets overlooked when we're like evaluating teams' draft classes. Like, how many guys did you have that just got burned for you? That says a lot about your hit rate, and I think the Browns got a lot of guys that are going to play a lot of snaps for them and be solid contributors for this team down the line. As for Dylan Gabriel specifically, I don't know if we learned anything about him big picture. I still don't think he's a particularly high ceiling guy, but I think he's a high floor kind of guy. And he definitely gives you a better chance to win than Joe Flacco right now. Joe Flacco is just done at this point. I think the game plan that you can build around him, and unfortunately the reality for the Browns at the QB position with Flacco where he's at, you really just need a guy who can complete a high percentage of his balls and not turn the ball over. And that's an improvement over what Flacco was giving you. And that's what Gabriel did. I liked him. They did a lot of play action stuff and they established the run. I think that's the first key for helping out a young rookie quarterback, giving him a running game. And I thought they played off of that. But he got the ball out quickly. He was accurate on short throws. Like I said, I think Dylan, and they got him out in space a little bit too, which I like. Some of these like little bootleg rollout type stuff. I think that's what Gabriel does. He gets the ball out quickly and he's accurate. I think he's a low ceiling guy, but I think Gabriel could be a capable quarterback. You can win with guys. He can be a game manager kind of guy. It's gimmicky, but he's better than Joe Flacco right now. So there's that. And I'm gonna get to watch the Dylan Gabriel, Aaron Rodgers duel in Pittsburgh next week, bro. I'm fired up.
Let's freaking go. In the Steel City, a working class matchup. Quarterback play will not be the highlight, although maybe with Aaron Rodgers. With Perk Rodgers slinging that shit the way that he is off the Perk 30. Oh, my goodness. But yeah, Dylan Gabriel, I think he's probably a pretty solid backup in this league or a very low-end starter. I just don't see the physical tools or really anything he does at a high level to go beyond that. But if the plan for the Browns is don't fuck things up, don't be a literal statue and just see if we can win a game 17-13 on the back of our defense, then yeah, he probably is a better option than Flacco. I think that Shedeur is the better talent, but also Shedeur is going around miming. So really can't blame a team for not wanting to make that guy their starting quarterback right now when leadership is an important quality and he seems like kind of a freak, seems like a very odd guy. Let's move on to maybe the craziest game of the week, dude. How the fuck did the Arizona Cardinals lose to the Tennessee Titans, and what does that say about them?
This is a fireable offense maybe on Jonathan Gannon's part. It must be an infuriating experience being a Cardinals fan, man. They've now lost on 3 game-winning field goals this season. Like, that is just your heart getting tore out of your chest. The DeMercado one, Live, I thought that he crossed the goal line and the ball touched and it should have been a touchdown, but it's like you just can't give the refs that kind of like just hold on to the football, bruh.
Back-to-back weeks, we've seen this. And this one was worse than A.D. Mitchell. I thought A.D.
Yeah.
Mitchell's was less deliberate. I thought he kind of just lost control. You know, he was holding it a little loose. This one, he just fucking let it fly.
And then Sly lets you off the hook by missing the extra point, gives the Cardinals even that extra margin by leaving them down 9 instead of 8. And then I've never seen that, Carson, in my life. I've watched a lot of football games, man. I've never seen a guy get a pick and then fumble it. They can't recover it into the end zone for a TD. Like, that is baffling. I've never seen anything like that. I'd like to be, excited for the Titans after their Cam Ward first career win, baby.
Hoorah.
Woo,
Whoa.
Wow, dude. The Cardinals are just doo-doo, I guess. I think the Cardinals are just the worst in the NFC West. And
oh, yeah, for sure.
How do you lose a game like that, man? It's an inexcusable loss for the Cardinals, man. I still don't think the Titans are. I still think the Titans are the worst team in football. And
I totally agree.
That is it's a 14-point swing, man. It's crazy. I've never seen a team lose like that.
Look, man, I mean, those are like two plays that I would like to say are once in a season, but we have seen the dropping the ball on the goal line untouched thing twice now in the last 2 weeks. So maybe that's a twice in a season phenomenon. But you mentioned, I mean, the interception to then fumble and have it be recovered by the offense for a touchdown. And the craziest part is the fumble, the defensive player wasn't touched. Just like after he just lost the ball on the way down to the ground. I don't know. It was so weird. Here's the one that you didn't even mention, though, Logan. I mean, all of these events occur after the Cardinals are up 21-3 at home to the worst team in football. Kyler Murray loses a fumble off his face. Snap goes off his face when they're driving down the field and they're in scoring position. Like, it's just a disgraceful game. There's absolutely no reason to lose this football game. It is the worst loss of the season by Arizona, and it's totally baffling. Like, my take early in this game, and I tweeted this out, I said, the Titans look like one of the worst teams of the century. Literally nothing in this game changed that. Like, the Cardinals had every opportunity to totally put this game away decisively, and they somehow fucked it up in the most catastrophic fashion imaginable. I've never seen anything like it. And at some point, you just have to tip your cap, Logan, to generational incompetence at a level that we may never see again. I mean, will we ever see this confluence of events again? Probably not. And you got to bask in the glory of that and appreciate it as an NFL fan, because it's special. It's really special stuff. But the Titans are terrible.
I'm glad they got the monkey off their back and got a dub, because, yeah, I would have had them on winless watch still. We put them on winless watch, I think, last NFL episode. And I still firmly believe they are one of the worst teams since 2000.
Yeah, and I do think they're the worst team in the NFL this year. However, Titans fans, before you get so angry, I do like Cam Ward. And I thought that Cam Ward made a couple of big throws in this comeback effort. I mean, he had a really nice deep ball splitting the safeties to Ridley. He floated a beauty over the top of the defender to Gunnar Helm, getting them down to the 1. And then the final throw of the game, I mean, just an absolute dot on that deep ball of just a beauty as well. So that's good. He's got the arm talent, but right now this offense is terrible. It's so unstable. The line is bad. I mean, he's pressured so much. He takes so many sacks. He puts a lot of balls in harm's way. And the offense was terrible for most of this game. And even in the comeback effort, Cam Ward threw a pick, and that pick somehow turned into a touchdown for the Titans. There's no explaining it. There's no takeaway. It's just magic.
I just wouldn't
magic, I guess.
I wouldn't have any big takeaways about Cam Ward just yet. I would wait off. I think at the end of the season, Brian Callahan probably gets let go.
Oh, he sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was hilarious that the analytics say, all right, when you're down 9 and you just scored a touchdown, go for 2, right? Try to get it to a 7-point game now. Again, so you have more information. And he made the cowardly decision. He did not go for 2. And as punishment for that, Sly shanked that extra point so badly. It was the worst extra point miss of the season. And still they were able to win the game because I guess the football gods hate the Cardinals even more. But what a disappointing run for the Arizona Cardinals, man. I mean, holy shit. For them, 2021, this team started 8-1. And they ended that year in a terrible slide, and they got destroyed in their only playoff game. Since then, they have won 4 games, 8 games. Now they're 2-3 this year.
Even the false hope they give you in this game. Like, I was watching the Cardinals, like, all right, Arizona, handling business without James Conner. You know, you got Michael Carter going. You got
Marv makes
going.
The big play on the first drive.
Yeah, Kyler rolling out. Exactly, man. Kyler's getting out of the pocket. Marv's making plays. Like, first half, build you up. Like, oh, just going to drub the Titans. And then I just feel icky after watching that game, man.
Yeah. Well, this game, Logan, I don't know how you felt about it because the teams who were playing, they were pretty icky, but it was an exciting football game. Panthers-Dolphins was the best game of the early slate. Probably says more about the early slate, but Carolina engineers a comeback win of their own. What did you take away from this, Logan?
I mean, Dave Canales was cooking with the running game, man. Either the Carolina Panthers are going to turn a corner or the Dolphins just have the worst rushing defense in NFL history. I was impressed. I was impressed with the Panthers in the trenches on both sides of the ball. They hold the Dolphins to 19 rushing yards in this one, and I'll give it credit to Tua. Like, Tua was the only guy moving the ball in this game. But yeah, Carolina, extremely resilient victory for them. They trailed 17-0, scored 20 unanswered, and was able to run the ball all day. Rico Dowdle, 206 yards and a touchdown in relief of Chuba Hubbard. He became the third Panther in franchise history to rush for 200 yards, along with D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart.
I wanted to guess.
But the one thing that I didn't understand about, tell me if you disagree with Mike McDaniel's decision in this one, and I get it to an extent. 4th and 18 with just over a minute left, 3 timeouts. I get that you're in your own territory. If you don't get it, you're basically gift wrapping Miami, a field goal at least. I would have gone for it there. I don't really understand giving the ball back to Carolina at all. I understand it's 4th and 18, but
yeah,
I don't know, man. Carolina's been able to run the ball down your throat all game. Like, I think you have a better chance at converting that 4th down opportunity than you do stopping them 3 straight plays, burning a timeout, and getting the ball back. I get it. You're in your own territory, 4th and 18, but I would have went for it there if I was Miami. Like,
you're really between a rock and a hard place there, though, aren't you? I mean, that's kind of a lose-lose. I get what you're saying. I mean, at least keep the game in your hands. Don't basically just concede.
I don't know. I'm in a situation, too, where I just feel like Mike McDaniel's cooked. I think he's going to get fired any day now. And yeah, I think Mike's got a job after this. I think some lucky team is going to pick him up as an offensive coordinator, and he is going to flourish in that role. But I think his days are numbered in Miami.
I agree, and this is the kind of loss that Miami, with everything in the balance, with their season already off to such a bad start. I mean, you can't take one of these up 17-0 to the Panthers, so it's a terrible loss for them. I think the most interesting part of this game, though, is probably Bryce Young. He is an interesting little fella, man. I mean, he had some brutal moments early in this game. Like, he got lit up on that sack and fumbled. He threw a terrible pick right to Rasul Douglas, just sailed one over the middle. He tried to call a timeout when they didn't have one, which is just like a brain fart you can't have from your quarterback. And then he wasn't ready for the snap. He missed Tremble on what really should have been a touchdown, and then he took a sack on the very next play. Like, just some of these drive killing, oh my God, Bryce, that's so bad moments. And then in the comeback, like, he was pretty consistently on time and on target. You mentioned the run game was going in a big way, but Bryce also really cleaned things up. And that final drive, I mean, he ripped one big throw under pressure to Leggett with pass rusher bearing down on him. That was the throw of the day for him. And then he made a big throw to convert on 4th down as well. So it just feels like Bryce Young is not good. But whenever you get to a moment where like things are looking so bad that you're ready to write him off, he summons a little bit of magic. I mean, he's got a whimsical way about him. There's a little bit of pixie dust there. Now, I want to be clear. He's just too inconsistent, and there's too many red flags for me to actually believe in him. I don't think he's a starting quarterback in this league. But he has his moments, man. He has his highs. And there's something a little fun about it.
I like his demeanor. I like how professional, Bryce is. Like I think he approaches the game the right way. I think he's a backup quarterback, though.
Look, Kenny Pickett never gave you a magical feeling like Bryce Young has given you
I don't know,
multiple
man.
times.
You didn't see that Baltimore Ravens comeback where he threw that TD to Najee Harris, man.
I did see it. I did see it.
That gave me a magical feeling.
Yeah, well, you didn't see Bryce Young put up 44 points on the Falcons last year. You didn't see Bryce Young lead
Why do you act like that's such a bad
NFL
comparison,
offenses.
dude? I mean, I think that is perfect.
I just think Bryce has a little bit more of a playmaking gene to him. I think he's done more high-level stuff than Kenny Pickett ever did. That being said, there's a lot of incompetence from Bryce. So, I still want to be clear. I don't think he's a starter, but it was funny. Like, you think back to last year, obviously, and when he got benched, it was like, oh my God, Bryce doesn't have a chance. And then he came back and he played pretty solid down the stretch of the year. And this year it's been rough. And I saw literally in this game, people like permanently writing him off. And then by the end of the game, they're like, all right, maybe it was a little too hasty on Bryce. Big picture, I think when you're ready to write a guy off multiple times, that kind of tells you where he's at. But every once in a while, he'll do a little something that makes you a little excited. Shout out Matthew Sponauer. I'm glad he got to see a Panthers win. Don't see a lot of those.
I was happy for Panthers fans. That was nice. Real quick,
yeah,
we have a super chat.
I saw that. Yeah, I can read this from Landon. Thank you, Landon, for your generous donation. Landon says Carson owes the indomitable Eric Collins in the great state of North Carolina an apology for my slanderous proclamation earlier. Logan, how did you feel about Eric Collins on this, his first ever NFL call?
So I think people who watch the highlights are probably going to be geeked on this, and they're going to go, oh, this was awesome and sick for football. I completely agree with you, Carson. I could not watch an entire broadcast of that. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful too, but like with how he was pronouncing some of the players' names, you can kind of tell that Eric Collins doesn't watch football as often as he watches basketball. So that was a little bit infuriating, but just like you said, man, the energy on some of the football is a very like certain moments. I want you to bring that energy. And like, if Eric Collins had bottled that up until the end of the game when the Panthers were surging, I'm with you. But just like, I could do without that every play.
If everything is the craziest thing that you've ever seen and you give it the biggest reaction of all time and your voice cracks 4 or 5 times, that cheapens the actual big moments. So when we are in the first half of a 17-0 game between the Dolphins and the Panthers, and Miami scores a touchdown, and you go, Darren Waller for 6! He's found his man, mama! There goes that man! Home diddly-dee! The wagons are being circled, and it's magic time in Miami, baby! Family's happy, everything's good! It's like, dude, Eric, chill the fuck out. And I'm sorry, because that was probably really loud for all of you guys, but there's no way to do an Eric Collins without screaming at the top of your lungs like you're having a violent orgasm with multiple voice cracks. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Every drawback. He's got a man downfield. Like, well, Eric, it's Tua Tagovailoa. You missed him. It's Bryce Young. This game sucks. This game was kind of fun by the end. And when this game actually got fun, it was like, okay, now I can get down with the Eric Collins energy. But I just think he feels this like responsibility to do his shtick every single time. And it's like, oh, the Hornets suck. So people like when I go hum-diddly-dee on the Hornets games and I have my fun calls. But it's like NFL games, man, they already have like enough going on. You don't need to do that. And it's just ridiculous.
I don't know. I mean, if some people enjoyed that, that's their. I like a guy who like sets the table. Quarterback's out in shotgun, 3 out wide.
Yeah.
What I prefer that to the raw energy. And like we said, I don't think it would have been that bad if Eric had saved that for the end of this game. But I hated it. I hated anytime the game popped up.
It's absurd. It's actually absurd. And I'm pro fun, man. You know me. I'm pro fun. I like having a good time, but there's a line to be walked.
It's the Joe Buck, Eric Collins scale.
Yeah, you want to be right at Iron Eagle, okay? You want to be right at Iron Eagle where he's emotive, he cracks some jokes, he has a good time, and yet he controls the game, he keeps things moving, he's focused. I just felt like I was with an insane person. I didn't feel safe watching the game. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew that it was going to be violent and he was going to be screaming at me over like a nothing play in a nothing football game at the end of the day.
Yeah. 4-yard pass, Tommy Tremble.
No! I don't know. Panthers and Hornets fans, I understand he's your guy. I don't hold it against you. It's a personal taste thing. If you like him, you like him. But also, I think it's crazy for people to get mad at us for not liking it when, like, I think it's very obvious what's off-putting about it. Like, this is not something to me that is fun to listen to for 4 quarters. You know, the highlights, yeah, they are funny. But they're funny because they're so absurd. And when you're hammered over the head with the absurdity every fucking play for 4 quarters of a football game, it's just not for me. So let's move on, Logan. Let's keep talking about the football now. Giants, Saints, New Orleans now on the board with a win. We talked about the unbeaten teams falling. We now only have one more winless team, and we'll get to them in a second. But what did you make of the Saints finally getting on the board with a win?
Good dub for them, man. The Saints have been like quietly consistent on offense, like moving the ball. It hasn't really converted into a ton of points, but I've liked New Orleans and what Kellen Moore's been able to get out of Spencer Rattler. I mean, this game said the most to me about the Giants. Like, I thought the Giants' defense held up in the red zone a lot, you know, kept the Saints from scoring touchdowns. They had 5 straight turnovers.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's ever happened before. Slayton has a fumble return for a TD. Scat has a fumble return for a TD. You talked about Kyler, the ball bouncing off his face mask. Dart just dropped the ball.
That was as crazy, maybe crazier.
I've seen that before, actually, but very uncommon. And
yeah,
Dart's got that interception deep, rolling out to Hyatt. He just never saw Kool-Aid McKinstry. He should have hit Bo Collins on the drag route. You just can't have that play. The next interception on the slant route, I thought could have been maybe DPI or defensive holding. But the thing that didn't make sense to me is he targets Bo Collins on the slant. Bo Collins just stops running. I didn't really understand that one. Like, that one I don't put as much on Dart, but just a meltdown from New York. They gift wrapped this one to the Saints. I don't know about Jackson Dart, man. He's Mr. Accessories, bro. That dude has different, he's got all kind of gear, bro. I don't know what he's got going on, man. I'm just like,
you think he's aura farming? Do you think he's aura farming?
Yeah, the one like eye black, the visor. He's got
Jackson Dart is aura farming.
He's got the
Eric Collins reacting to Jackson Dart aura farming.
That would be too much on a broadcast, man. I don't know what to make of Dart. I like his tools. Like, I like his legs, his scrambling ability, the way he can get out of the pocket, but he's incredibly erratic, and he holds on to the ball forever. Like, I don't know. I don't really know what to make of Jackson Dart, but this was a meltdown from the Giants, and I'm glad for the Saints, man. I think the Saints are this bad. Like, I think they are one of the 4 worst teams in football, but I'm happy for Spencer Rattler. I think that stat about him being winless is a little bit deceiving in comparison to some of the other competition he's with.
Yeah, I just want to apologize to Spencer Rattler because when we were talking about the Saints outlook this year and we were both like, yeah, they're going to be the worst team in the league or one of the worst teams in the league. The quarterback room, we were also comparing to some of the worst that we've seen. And that's just disrespectful to the boy Spence, who is just solid, capable of operating an NFL offense, is a good enough athlete, is accurate enough. Like, he's solid. He's kept the Saints competitive in every game of the year but one. And so shout out to him. But yeah, there's not so much to take away from this game for New Orleans. This just looked like 2 bad teams doing battle. And that's maybe disappointing for Giants fans who were feeling good after last week's win. I just think Jackson Dart has a lot to figure out. He can use his legs well. That's the athleticism, but he really hasn't shown any downfield passing ability, or like you said, just like the processing within the pocket. It's not there. Like, it doesn't feel like he can execute a real NFL offense yet, like a drop back and be able to pick you apart with some of these intermediate throws. That's just not there. And then you've got like some really bad plays. I mean, the fumble was shockingly bad. He missed on the flea flicker. That was a potential big play for them. He just underthrew it. And
he just kind of
picks. They were like, the game was kind of over, but they were still trying to come back, and those were both pretty rough too.
I just thought he should have thrown the ball earlier. I mean, it is an underthrow for when he got there, but I think if he throws that same ball a second earlier, he hits him in stride for a TD. I think it was, either way, that's a play you can't miss for a TD.
The ball was not as deep as it needed to be at that moment, and that's a bad miss. So I know that there's some Dart optimism in New York. I need to see a lot more before I'm sold. I mean, I'm not going to write the guy off after 2 games. It's not an easy spot to be dropped off into, but he's definitely got a ways to go. Let's kind of breeze through these last few games, Logan. I mean, these were all pretty much blowouts. Cowboys, Jets. What'd you take away real quick? Are the Jets the worst team in football now because they're winless?
I'm sorry, Dak Prescott. Lo siento, Dak Prescott. He's damn good. And without CeeDee Lamb, and now that he has my glorious baby boy, George Pickens, to throw the ball to, which this was probably George Pickens' dream, man. Number 1 wideout goes out. He actually has a real quarterback throwing him the football. He can get all of the targets. George is a beast. Dak is top 10, and I've consistently been disrespecting him, and it hurts my soul a little bit that I have to say something positive about a Cowboys quarterback, but I was wrong, Mr. Dak Prescott. I respect you, and you are top 10.
Let go of your hate and find it within yourself to live and laugh.
Dak's actually pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah, Dakota's pretty freaking sweet at slinging that pigskin around the old gridiron, isn't he, Logan? I mean, that's just what he does out there. Yeah, the Cowboys offense is just great. And the Dak Pickens connection, it's so sexy. And I'm glad I was all in on it in the preseason because, boy, is it panning out. I mean, Pickens, what an athlete. What a contested catch maker. What a deep ball threat. Dak's averaging 271 yards per game, Logan. 10 touchdowns, 3 picks. Those numbers even undersell how impressive he's been a little bit, in my opinion, when you just consider the burden on him to pour on points every game. Also, one of those picks was just like straight up a drop by George Pickens that ended up in a defensive player's hands. But their connection has been great. And Cowboys offense is going to allow them to win a lot of games. Or not like enough to get into the playoffs, probably, but maybe enough to get into the playoffs. And if they do get there, the path is going to be being one of the best offenses in football, which they pretty much have been. Also, the run game has been better than I expected, and Javonte has been pretty good for them. And for the Jets, I really have nothing to say. I mean, their offense was totally inept until garbage time in this game, and they're a very bad football team. And their defense also sucks, which is really disappointing, and absolutely nothing has improved for the New York Jets. But things are also pretty bad for the Raiders, Logan. When you talk about 2 of the worst organizations of this century, I mean, they are both at the top of the list, those 2. What did you take away from them just getting boat raced by the Colts 40-6?
Carson, were we wrong about Geno Smith?
Logan, it takes a big man to look the camera right in the eye and say that you were wrong about anything. And me personally, I'm not a big man. So no, I'm not going to say that. No, look, we have to have the Geno conversation. It's been a disaster. He's playing horribly.
Dude, unfortunately, he just takes too many negative plays. And I looked at some numbers and I just wonder if I was blinded by his big play ability. And
do I want to hear these or should I cover my ears?
You should cover your ears. As the biggest owner of Geno Smith plushie stock on the planet, you don't want to hear this.
98% of the U.S. inventory. I've got it. I've got everything riding on this emotionally and financially. So I'm going to cover my ears.
In my professional opinion, I actually, you want to hear this. I encourage you, Carson.
I can still hear you actually because my AirPods are in even if I cover my ears.
Buy more, buy the dip.
I'm thinking about it. I'm really thinking about it. Mm-hmm. I'm not selling, I'll tell you that, because right now, actually, Geno Smith plushie stock, it's gone negative. So I would have to be paying people to take it off my hands, and we're not going to do that. I've got the storage for it.
I ranked Geno Smith as a top 10 quarterback because of his...
Sure, and we all did at the time. We all did.
His playmaking ability. And I said, I can deal with the negative plays that he takes because he's such a gunslinger and a swashbuckler. In this game, he takes 2 interceptions and 4 sacks. The batted ball interception, I don't have as many gripes about, but the interception in double coverage, I definitely do. Just 2 Colts in the area.
Oh, it's terrible.
Right now, he's got 9 picks. That is the most in the NFL. And currently, Geno Smith has the most interceptions since 2024, 2023, and 2022. And over that same time span in every single season, he also has the most total turnovers. Unfortunately, right now, Geno also has taken 16 sacks. That is second most in the NFL this season. And he is also the most sacked quarterback over that same time span. So I guess I just unfortunately have to become more ball control pilled, Carson. I don't know, man. I don't think this is a great situation with the Raiders, but Geno Smith is playing maybe like the worst quarterback in football right now with the turnovers.
Well,
so
get ready to learn Jake Browning, my friend.
True. That's a great point.
Because Jake Browning, in terms of interception percentage, he's got him beat because he's got 8 and he's played a game and a half less than Geno.
We'll talk about him in a minute, but
very briefly.
This is one of the hardest pills I've had to swallow about a quarterback.
I'm not going to swallow it, Logan. I'm riding out the dip, and I'm still staying right here with Geno. Look, obviously, the guy's playing terribly, and there's been some really, really bad moments from him. I mean, he's been quite bad in 3 of the 5 games up to this point, and the second pick, like you said, I mean, it's just totally inexplicable. You got 2 defenders sitting right on the hitch, and he throws it late, but it was never going to be open, and that's just like an F- play. Here's what I'll say about Geno, okay? He fits into the mold of the aggressive pocket passer, right? A guy, he's a decent athlete, right? He can get out and move a little bit, but primarily what he is going to do is stay in the pocket, stare down pressure, and say, I am going to test tight windows, and that is where I am going to do my damage, and I am going to go big play hunting. And there's a spectrum there when we talk about the aggressive pocket passers, and it goes from like Jameis Winston down at the bottom, where the trade-off is just too risky and there's too many brain farts and bad decisions and turnovers, all the way up to like a Dak Prescott.
Oh, I thought we were going to say like Alex Smith or like a safe.
No, because Alex Smith isn't aggressive. Because Alex Smith is like the ultimate game manager. I'm saying this is the aggressive pocket passer.
I got you.
Exactly. You've got a Jameis who is just way too far in the direction of too many turnovers, too many bad decisions. And then at the top, you've got a Dak who is super aggressive, but strikes the balance in a way that it's still overwhelmingly positive for his offense. It's a lot of big plays while minimizing the turnovers for the most part. I've always thought Geno is very much on the upper echelon of that spectrum, okay? He's not at a Dak level, but he's got some really good traits. He's got the arm talent to make some of these big-time throws. He's very accurate. He's got the pocket presence to hang in there and make some of these throws under pressure that other guys wouldn't. And he also is able to maneuver the pocket quite effectively to the point where he really, in recent years, has had a very impressive pressure to sack ratio. And you know me, I'm a fiend for guys who don't take sacks. So those are all the reasons I've been high on Geno. I've thought he was in a terrible situation in Seattle with a terrible offensive line, a run game that wasn't good. There was a crazy burden on him. Yeah, you're going to get some picks from a guy who has to attempt so many of these throws because they're just asking him to do so much. And I still believe that's what we saw in recent years. That being said, right now we're seeing a guy who is not managing pressure well, is taking sacks, and his offensive line still sucks, unfortunately. The Raiders have a terrible offensive line, but he's taking a lot of sacks. The turnover pendulum has just swung way too far to where like some of these are just inexcusable. You can't have 9 picks in 5 games, man, obviously. Yeah, and he's not even hitting on enough of the good stuff. Like he's doing a Jameis Winston impression right now. That's what we're getting from Geno Smith, and that's very disappointing. So am I going to write him off? No, Logan, because he won't write back, okay? Because Geno is talented and Geno has been good in recent years. However, I absolutely have to own the fact that I said after this year, everybody is going to be higher on Geno Smith. And right now, probably everybody is lower on Geno Smith because he's playing very bad football. That is all I am going to say for now, though. I mean, would he be in my top 10 quarterback rankings right now? No, you just can't justify it. But do I think Geno Smith sucks? No, I think Geno Smith sucks right now. But I think we've seen too much good stuff from him on film to think that, like, he's just terrible now. That's my take on it. And I'm deeply entrenched in the Geno Smith community. Again, I do stare hundreds, if not thousands, of his plushies in the eyes every night, holding them gently, serenading them, singing them lullabies, rocking them to sleep as they do the same to me. I hope that that's satisfactory for people.
I'm pretty aligned with you on Geno. It does suck for the situation. Like Colton Miller is not going to be back the rest of the year. He's on IR, which is just a huge blow to a. I mean, he's like the standout. Him and Jackson Powers Johnson are, in my opinion, like the two really standout offensive linemen for them. And so down that guy. I mean, Geno's going to be the guy for the Raiders, I think, for the next 2 years, though, man. This year and the next season. And so I think I hope this is the lowest and the worst that Geno looks, man. I still think he's got the talent. It's not that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This is a hellish situation, man. Like it's like the margin for Geno isn't, a ton, right? Like they're entrusting him to be the offensive engine, and he's just collapsing right now. But I still think he's got it in him to be a lot better than this, obviously.
Yeah, I thought he managed a hellish situation in Seattle at an impressive level, and he is absolutely not doing that for Vegas right now. I will say, I think for some people, you'll take rejoice in the fact that this is sort of revenge on the pretentious football fan. And I include myself in that. Like, it's kind of funny, because there's been a lot of people who are like, oh, you just don't get it with Geno. You're not paying attention to the traits. You're not looking at the box score. And again, I'm 100% one of these people. Or what I mean is you're looking at the box score too much and you got to understand the context. And like, I've seen people say that Geno is like the ball knower litmus test. And if you don't like Geno, you're not watching closely enough. And right now he just sucks. So it's pretty funny, but it does also bum me out because I do really like Geno. But the Raiders' only path to being competent is him really turning things around because they're a bad football team. I mean, they're a bad defense. They're a terrible offensive line. They just look terrible right now. And the Colts look really good. I mean, they just continue to mow over the bad teams, played a very competitive game against the Rams that, I mean, they really should have won, arguably, if A.D. Mitchell doesn't just drop that ball. They're just straight up a playoff caliber team, and they've proven that, and I think they continue to prove that, and that's kind of all there is to say about them. Last game, Logan, unless there's anything you want to say about the Colts.
Yeah, I think Jonathan Taylor's probably my MVP right now, man. I mean, he's balling. Like, yeah, I think he'd be my pick.
Whoa, MVP? Whoa.
Yeah, I think it'd be Jonathan Taylor.
Honestly, mine would be Josh Allen at this point, just because I think he's been the best quarterback in football overall. The Bills are tied for the best record in football. But Jonathan Taylor, why not? That's a fun running back case. I mean, it doesn't matter. We'll do midseason awards. We won't do third of the season.
Quarterly. Yeah, quarterly.
We'll get there when we get there. Yeah, we're not doing our quarterly reports on NFL awards. Lions-Bengals, Logan, I would say this went about exactly as expected.
Good for the Lions. I want to see them really get going against, stiffer competition, obviously. I mean, my only question is, Carson, do you think the Bengals should trade for a quarterback before the trade deadline? I definitely lean yes, make any move. Or you think
given up on
there's
that.
No point?
Well, so I was thinking like, okay, just for the sake of dignity, could you go out there and get a Russ? We talked about this last week. Now I've pivoted to the point of it's too far gone. Just get a top pick. Get a top pick. Take an offensive lineman or take an impact player at one of the positions that you have neglected because you wanted to pay 2 receivers major money and you only really have 4 good players on your football team. And when one of them goes out, who happens to be your quarterback, you're completely and utterly fucked. The Bengals are just so bad that I think the best thing for them right now is just to truly bottom out and get an elite talent, hopefully, because boy, are they just disgusting. I mean, they're as bad as anybody right now. When we talk about the Titans, like the Bengals have been right there the last 3 weeks. They were down 28-3 in this game, and then they just got some garbage time points.
Do you think Zach Taylor gets fired at the end of this year?
Absolutely. No fucking reason to bring him back. This is a disgraceful situation, and honestly, I think it's more so on the front office. I think the team building has been really bad, but I also don't think that Zach Taylor is good. So yeah, I think this is probably what the Bengals need. I think they're fucked. I just think they've put themselves in a really, really bad position. They haven't added talent. Again, I think they've overspent at the receiver position when that's something that like you have to be willing to compromise and say, okay, we're only going to pay 1 elite receiver so we can actually address other areas in our football team where we're badly lacking. And I think their thinking is backwards there. And now you have major concerns about like Burrow's availability, and as good as Trey Hendrickson is, he can't save this entire defense from being totally shitty. Like they need to basically start from scratch with just a couple of these cornerstones still in place. But I think having a really bad season like this will probably motivate them to do that. Because last year, you finished strong. We're 9-8. We're close enough. We can justify running things back. Not after this year. This year is really highlighting just how far away they are. And Burrow being on the field, maybe he can get you to 8-9 wins, but that's all you're going to do when your team is just this bad in terms of your overall roster. Let's get to the super chats, Logan. We've already addressed a couple of them in context, but we've got one from Sean. Thank you, Sean. Where did all the Buffs fans who said Diggs sucks go? They were so loud. Diggsy hooped. Diggsy hooped today. Now, I think it's very obviously been beneficial for the Bills to let him go because the Bills have been arguably the best offense in football over the last 2 years since he left. And things were just not in a good place in terms of personal relationships with him and Buffalo at the time that he left. But guy can still play. And he had his best game since leaving Buffalo today. Like, no question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think it's a hot take. Not that like Diggs is washed. I don't think Diggs is washed. I mean, he's just not as good as he once was, but
yeah,
he had a great game today. He balled out.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, he's not nearly what he was 3-4 years ago. You did see that even in 2023, second half of the year. Like, the Bills offense actually got better as they became less reliant on Diggs and they built out more balance. And now we've seen really the run game and the line and just the depth of the weapons all progress. The Bills are definitely happy with how things have turned out, but props to Diggs, man. I mean, he got a revenge game. That's got to be a great feeling for him to go in there and get a win and like be arguably the best player on the field tonight. So shout out for that. Colin Coolin says, Cardaddian logging Logan, can you help me cope with Sam Darnold and my Seahawks? I don't think you need to cope, man. You're 3-2. You played a really close game against a hell of a football team today. And Sam Darnold played really well. Like, yeah, he threw one pick under pressure at the end of the game. That sucks. But I think you should feel good. You've been better. You've looked better than I thought coming into the year.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel dejected at all. I mean, they keep putting up points. If Darnold doesn't have a turnover, you guys could have very well won this game. Like, I've been encouraged by what I've seen. I was low on the Seahawks coming into the season. They're better than I thought they were going to be. And Darnold's a big reason why. He's looked a lot better than I thought.
I was saying Geno's better than Darnold. Paint a clown nose on me and call me a fool and tar and feather me and draw and quarter me and do whatever you want with my body because I deserve it. And Darnold is shutting me up because he's been hooping.
Also, the Seahawks are, real quick,
yes,
Seahawks are
please.
Tied for second in defensive yards per play. I mean, after this game, that's going to go up a little bit, but
for sure,
McDonald's done a good job with his defense from where they were a couple of years ago. I wish the offensive line was a little bit better, but they've invested up there. I like some of the rookies they've got. The Zabel kid, he's really good, the rookie, and then I think they have Cross and Abraham. They've got better offensive linemen this year. I'm a little bit higher on the O line, so.
Yeah, same.
Look, the Seahawks aren't Super Bowl contender, but they can give somebody a run in the playoffs, and I think they'll be around at the end of the year. I think you should be encouraged with the Seahawks.
Let's think about where they do stand in the NFC, because the NFC just straight up looks better right now. Eagles and Commanders are better. Are the Cowboys better than the Seahawks?
No, I would take Seattle.
I'd take the Seahawks. I think they're a more balanced team because the Cowboys' defense is so bad. Lions and Packers are better. I think the Vikings are a little better, but that's close.
I would take take Seattle. Yeah, I would.
I mean, the quarterback play is certainly better.
That's the decider for me.
I do think the Vikings are more talented, and I do love their coaching.
I would take Seattle to Chicago.
I take Seattle over Chicago. Bucs, I think we would both agree are better. And then Niners and Rams, I would both take over them. So they're really in the middle of the pack in the NFC, but the NFC is just tougher than the AFC, bro. The AFC is leaving a little something to be desired, which hasn't been the case in recent years for the most part. Kaylee also mentioned Sam Darnold, saying, Sam Darnold, I miss you. Please come back. Well, he's gone, and he's never coming back, and that's just the way it is. Yaya says, question, why do people in NFL discourse care about Super Bowls so much? Like, people get injured every game, and even quarterbacks have a limited amount of impact. Like, how is Josh not top 10 because of a Super Bowl when he's better than most of them?
I mean, that's a great question. I think it's one of the logical fallacies that people have about football. And that's something that, Carson and I try to emphasize a lot is it's, 53 guys going out there every game lining up. You got 22 players, responsible offense and defense starters. Like, it is the ultimate team game. And beyond that, the football strategy is so important with your coordinators and your game plan every week and your head coach. Like, there are so many moving parts in football. You have to take that into account. And so, I mean, I agree with you. Like, Josh is already a top 10 quarterback to me. I can already go that far. This is one of my, I think, hottest takes ever. But, like, I would take prime Josh Allen over Peyton Manning. And I know people don't agree with that. Like, I don't care that Peyton has 2 Super Bowls. Like, objectively, that's just how I feel. And, yeah, I think it's one of the biggest logical fallacies in football.
Well, and Peyton is arguably the best example of why it is a silly way to view things, because he's the greatest regular season quarterback we've ever seen. And yet in both of his 2 Super Bowl runs, he played badly, especially in 2015 when he was arguably the worst quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl. 9 touchdowns, 17 picks that year. I've been going through all the numbers, or I recently did for this video I did on if defense wins championships.
In the playoffs.
Like, the Broncos are by so far the worst offense to win a Super Bowl in the last 15 years. And yet, because Peyton just happened to be the quarterback of that bad offense that was a dominant defense, that changes his legacy. Like, it's very silly. It's very silly. If you look at the Bills,
2
man.
TDs in 3 games, but still.
Well, and in 2006 in that run, he had 3 touchdowns against 7 picks, right?
True, he did.
So, like, for all of the greatness of Peyton Manning, and there's so much of it, it didn't really coincide with when his teams happened to actually win it all, because there's a whole other side of the ball.
Exactly. That's what's so funny, because when Bob Sanders played that year, they were by far the best defense in football. When he was out, they were like number 24. Obviously the Super Bowl that he wins in 2015, they have the best defense in all of football. Like, largely when you have that. Aaron Rodgers is another great example for all of his prime seasons when he is by far head and shoulders the best quarterback in football. The year he won the Super Bowl, the Packers, I believe, had the second best defense in football, only to the Steelers that year. Or, that was like the only top 3 defense of Rodgers' career. Normally, it's going to coincide when you have the best team.
We've talked about these numbers with Josh a lot, but the guy's number 1 all-time in touchdown to turnover ratio in the playoffs. He's number 1 all-time in total yards per game in the playoffs. He's top 3 all-time in touchdowns per game. Since 2020, the Bills have averaged 28 points per game in the playoffs. Like, guy's done his job just about as well as anybody ever. And that's just not the only thing that matters when it comes to winning football games. There's so many factors at play. So, Yaya, you are asking the right questions. Ring culture is toxic in both the NBA and the NFL, but it sucks in both, probably even more so in the NFL, though. And if you take it to any position other than quarterback, that is truly nonsense. Like, man, how much impact do you think a corner can have on whether or not his team wins the Super Bowl, or a receiver? Like, it's just not something that should even be considered when we're talking about resumes. So much of it is circumstantial. Yaya with another donation. Thank you. Also, do you think my Bears have a chance against the Commanders? A chance.
As much as any team has winning any game, I want to be honest with you.
Damn.
Yaya. I mean, dude, the Bears are dead last in rushing defense in terms of yards per attempt against what I think is the best rushing attack in football. I honestly think, maybe Caleb Williams has a crazy superstar kind of game, but I think the Commanders roll on the Bears.
I don't know if I would say roll, but I do think the Commanders are going to win that football game. Like you said, I mean, I just don't know that defensively the Bears have the personnel to really slow that offense down at all. Kaylee, Jetta's impact cannot be shown on a box score for real.
Based. I mean, it can, because he's number 1 in receiving yards per game, but I mean, he has gravity. That's fair. Like, he really does. And I don't think his impact can be fully appreciated by a box score.
Yeah, true that, brother.
He's
another thing.
Dude, like you said, I mean, we say it all the time, but like, I would never say anybody could surpass Jerry because that's such a high standard. But if there is anybody on that trajectory, it's Justin Jefferson. Like, he's the guy that could do it.
For real. And Verde just says Drake May.
Drake May.
And a Drake May to you, man. Drake May is a stud. And he is going to be even more studly in the future. Landon says, Panthers had Baker and Darnold. Tepper won't see heaven.
Tepper's a jackass. They had Baker out there running D-line reps, man. That's crazy to me, dude. That's crazy to me, man. Well, they really
is that your own scout team?
Yes, bro. They had Baker running D-line one time.
Because he's just such a dog, Logan. He could play any position. You could line him up any sport. You need a bowler in cricket, he's your man. You need somebody to go out there, play a little bit of takra. Logan, you're familiar with takra. It's basically volleyball with your feet. It's actually a sick sport. It's a Thai sport. Maybe they play it throughout Southeast Asia. You got to check it out. Everybody should check it out. It's a crazy invention. They're crazy athletes who play it.
I'm sorry.
Baker would have been the best at that.
They play it like they play it standing up.
So I'm not sure what the alternative is. Are you asking if they play it sitting down? Because they certainly don't do that.
I'm just trying to think about the logistics.
It's basically just nonstop bicycle kicks.
Wow.
You get airborne and you kick the ball over the net every time.
Can you toss it to start or you have to use your feet? I got to check this shit out.
I don't know exactly how the serve works. All of the rallies are back and forth with your feet. The serve, I mean, there has to be a toss in there somewhere. Takra experts sound off in the comments. Takra experts in the chat educate our white asses so we can sit our white asses down and we can listen and we can learn. But the point is Baker would have been the GOAT at that if he wanted to as well. Colin says, thank you. Make me feel much better staring at your blue eyes, Carson, and your sculpted jaw, Logan. I'm so glad, Colin. I'm so glad we could help.
Thank you, Colin. You make me feel much better.
Your sculpted jaw, it just brings me so much joy. And was there anything you wanted to say about my blue eyes?
Yeah, I get lost in them every episode.
I was going to pretend to be Eric Collins reacting to your sculpted jaw, but I feel like everybody's probably had enough of me screaming at the top of my lungs. You know why? Because it's annoying. And it's annoying when Eric Collins does it too. On that note, we should be more positive, I guess. It's football. It's the best, man. We love it. We had a great time, and we hope that you guys enjoyed watching it and enjoyed our analysis and post-game yap about it all. If you did, the good news is there is so much more Nerd Sesh content. You can find it all across our YouTube channel, all of our full episodes about the NFL, and we've got so much NBA season preview content now, Logan. We're just churning from division to division, so go ahead and check all of those out. We also do have our video essay, video breakdown content that we come out with. That's all on our YouTube channel. You can listen to all the episodes across all audio platforms, and you can follow us across social, TikTok and Instagram at NerdSesh, Twitter at Nerd_Sesh. We will not be live as usual next Sunday night. I lied last week when I said that we wouldn't disappoint you guys and not have one of those post-game lives for a while, because now Logan is going to an NFL game in person. As he mentioned, he's going to see the Steelers-Browns heavyweight battle. So I think we'll do the same thing where we have an episode up Tuesday morning for you guys. And then after that, I promise we will be live every Sunday night as usual for a while. And we hope that you guys are with us for that whole journey. So with that, as always, appreciate you guys. I've been Carson Brabber.
I have been Logan Camden.
And this was Nerd Sesh.